Jeremiah Love breaks free. Jeremiah Love trying to go 98. Touchdown, Will Run in the first touchdown of the 12-team playoff.
This is 365 Sports.
Daniels keeps it, and he scores.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Underneath, Smith gets to the corner. Money on the rise. Touchdown, Jeremiah Smith.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Johnson buys some time. There's the tight end again, rumbling towards the end zone, and the touchdown for Ancio.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Klubnik's going to take off. Klubnik with a touchdown.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Good afternoon. Yet another weekend of college football that we were able to digest. You know, I was there at my condo from start to finish throughout the day on Saturday. What a day of great games, great matchups, and drama. And then, of course, some teams that surprised in either way. Either they weren't as good as we thought, or also they are much better.
You guys know those home run charts for like ballparks or for like hitters?
Yeah.
Like when they show like, okay, this is where all Aaron Judge's home runs go.
You mean over the fence?
Yeah. I mean, but like which part of the park, how far they go. Like, so sometimes you'll see like an outlier, like he hits one to right field. It's like an oppo one. I would like to see when the three of us get to have a day like Saturday, where for most of the day you can be home watching all the games, what the home run chart would be to where you walk in your house. Like, because it's really only like three places, right? It's the chair, it's the bathroom, it's the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
But like, where do you, like, what's the home run chart? You're just like a dead pull hitter the whole time.
Yeah.
There's no spray chart on days like on Saturday.
It depends the way I sat down at the condo where I have a really nice office and overlooking 2 or 3 TVs. But let's get to the games. Classics, 3 or 4 or 5 bangers. We'll also have a full segment around the corner and look back at the weekend of the Big 12. Willie Fritz, Houston head coach, will join us today at the bottom of the hour. Here is Andrew Monaco. We had him on the show last week, and here is A&M down by 6 in South Bend against Notre Dame.
4th and goal from the 11-yard line. Down 6, 40-34. Concepcion in motion from right to left. The shotgun snap, Marcel. Throws, end zone, caught! Touchdown! Nate Borkature! We're tied! An extra point to come!
And the extra point was good. A&M winning 41-40, their first road win against a ranked team, non-conference in forever. I think it was 14 against Auburn. And, man, what a win. It looked like at times they just didn't have enough, but their offensive weapons, Marcel Reed, the defense made enough plays, and a huge win for the Mike Elco era to go into South Bend, break some droughts, and win that game.
Well, they broke 2 droughts in that regard. The Auburn game you mentioned was the last time they beat a ranked team on the road. That was a conference game, though. But the last time they beat a ranked non-conference team was 1979. They beat Penn State.
That's right, Penn State.
1979, Tom Wilson was the head coach, I believe.
Remember Tom Wilson? He used to coach at Palestine High School.
Yeah, so Tom Wilson was the head coach then. And look, as a person who's watched, since, let's say I'm 6 years old is about the time I remember. So the last 39 years, I've seen every A&M game I possibly could, depending on where I was. So I'm going to say about 90% of the games I've watched beginning to end. At every turn, I expected A&M to lose that game until that extra point went through. And even then, I was waiting for some kind of weird penalty on the kickoff to give them like
2 15-yarders.
To put Notre Dame at the 50, so they only had to complete one pass to get a field goal. But that was huge for A&M in so many regards, especially just over the time in the SEC. If you want to focus on the now, of them being a team that is highly regarded in the preseason on the national stage, and then having an opportunity to make a statement on the national stage and then not doing it. This was a very, very big one. It was a classic game. There's a lot to talk about with Notre Dame, mostly good. And I was just impressed that A&M had the gumption to finally do that.
Yeah, they got it done after losing to them at home last year to open up the year. They get off to a great start, and then now they have the big win against Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's a massive win for Texas A&M. I think it's quenching a thirst that I don't think we realized quite how parched A&M was for a win like that. But, man, that was like a big ice-cold Gatorade for, I think, the Aggie fan base on a hot day, seeing A&M pull that victory out. And what a game it was. I mean, just back and forth a couple times early on. You feel like Notre Dame's got – 10-point lead. Maybe they're going to start pulling away or hold on to that. And A&M just always seemed to have a response. That flurry of 2 scores right before halftime were absolutely massive to go and take the lead heading in to the break. And then Notre Dame responds shortly thereafter, mid-third quarter. And it was just, man, it was craziness. I mean, it was every time you made a move, the other side made a move. It was just match for match, basically all game long. And then to get into crunch time and have it come down to the wire the way that it did. Obviously, you feel for Notre Dame to ultimately have that game end the way that it did because of a freaking mixed extra point, a botched extra point attempt. You still could have won the game, get a stop, right? But they couldn't get nobody could get a stop in this game practically. I mean, it's 41-40 in regulation.
A lot of offense on Saturday across the board.
As good as the defenses were going into this game, and you still believe they are, this is a very Big 12 college football year, folks. I mean, look across the SEC at the scores. There's very good defense, very good defensive talent, but they're all giving up a lot of points. So this was like, it's like a Big 12 shootout almost in a way. But I credit Mike Elco for changing the mentality and just giving them a different flavor of culture than what we saw with Jimbo Fisher and prior to that Kevin Sumlin. They are much more workmanlike, and just a lot of the unnecessary frills seem to have been cast off to the side. There's not dudes racing through parking lots and just all kinds of nonsense going on. It's a team that is very confident, even more confident after Saturday, and they're also very good. They have a reason to be confident because that was a huge win for them. So, yeah, massive W for the Aggies in week 3.
And one reason why they have, and to me, this is not like a team that looks like they're running in mud. They've got dudes, weapons, and look at these numbers. Wide receiver transfers with Concepcion and obviously Craver, who had over 200 yards. The transfers that came into A&M, 33 catches for 670 yards, 7 touchdowns, 20 yards per catch. The ones who left, half the catches, about 1/3 or 1/4 of the yards, a little less than half of the touchdowns, and about 9 yards per catch less. The weapons that were brought in aren't just names. They are also producing. Craver was huge with over 200 yards receiving. And he had a huge play in that last and game-winning drive of 34 yards to kickstart the drive.
Colin Klein's using both those guys, Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver, perfectly in the offense. And I do think ultimately it's going to be a run-first offense as they get into maybe some games and they get settled there a little bit more. But they're so able to stretch the field, and Marcel Reed has been so much more efficient and effective as a passer. He still has a little bit of a ways to go because, like, you watch that game and he's got this talent now around him, and it allows him to take some of the chances he wasn't able to take last year. But there were times, and that why it felt very A&M-like, where you've got Mario Craver or I think it was Casey Concepcion. They could have hit a 95-yard touchdown pass. He missed him by a foot. Amari Niblack wide open. And he missed him by a foot. And so those are the things he has to do development-wise, but they have weapons all over the field in a way that they haven't in a very long time. Usually, I mean, at A&M's best, they have like a running back, like a triplets kind of a scenario, or they have Mike Evans and Johnny Manziel. I don't know if there's been a collection of guys, and I'm not even including Terry Bussey and some of the other players that they have, because Bussey got some action the other night as well. And I think the athletes at wide receiver and at running back collectively are far superior to anything they've had in a very long time.
Well, I mean, they've been recruiting well. It's supposed to pay off eventually. It seems like it's paying off now, and they actually have some guys that are handling their business and are in lockstep with what the coaching staff wants, and a lot of just playing football and no drama, I think is what it kind of feels like around A&M in the best kind of way. So there was drama, but the good kind on Saturday, especially when you win. But yeah, I mean, Concepcion and Craver have been fantastic. Bussey's had big moments, both as an offensive weapon, but also as a special teams guy. I mean, a big return guy there for you. And your running backs and Moss and Owens, and I guess you've had a couple of other guys maybe take carries, but those guys have handled the load pretty well. Had a tough time running against Notre Dame, which is going to be the case, but they did enough, and they're going to do a lot more in games to come. So, yeah, A&M's looking great. That was a huge win for them, historic win for them. Long way to go. They've got the SEC schedule now in front of them, so who knows what that entails, but I definitely think A&M's deserving of their flowers this week, coming off of a win like that.
So here's a couple of other. This is they showed video. Notre Dame had just scored on A&M, and they went back and showed video of Mike Elco on the bench, pissed. Here's the video of the moment during the game near the bench.
Defensive coordinator here in 2017. He's a defensive guy at heart, and so when his defense gives up plays, he doesn't like it.
Yeah, he told us. We asked him, "How do you build?"
Yeah, so there we are. He throws the chair. To get that picture, you just had it, Brandon. So there's a souvenir that A&M put the logos on the chair, and a new addition to wherever they decide to put that after the win against Notre Dame. Plus that moment, Elco pissed. A&M comes back, and they are usually, like you said, they're the ones that fall short, but a nice win for them to start the year. And now inside the top 10, as we'll get to that later in the show.
Yeah, that was WWE like tossing the chair there. Yeah, I mean, like the next thing he has to do is hit a guy with it, which I'm not against. No,
I actually was kind of worried he was going to hit somebody with just recklessly kind of tossing it. I'm glad that wasn't the case, but yeah, he's a fiery dude. You could see the couple players on the bench like, wait, what? And then they realized like, no, hey, we're locked in. Let's go. Fire us up, coach. And he said what he needed to say. I think they're going to need another chair because I think those stickers are way too big for all the wins they're going to have this year, because I think that they're a team that's going to win a lot more, and not trying to get too far ahead of ourselves, and overreact every week. But I don't think there's really an overreaction to that game, unless you're to say they're the best team in the country and they're winning the Natty. That'd be an overreaction. But like I said, they deserve the compliments, they deserve the coverage, and that was a big win. That's been the type that's been elusive for them for a long time.
Georgia, Tennessee appeared to be almost a replay of Georgia, Alabama last year. Tennessee got off to the big lead. Alabama did a year ago. Georgia came back last year and this year, and then it went down to the wire. Nice win, no question. Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs, it's amazing they've won, 9 or 10 or so and 11 in a row against Tennessee. Josh Heupel had his team playing well. Joey Aguilar was fantastic, but in the end, it's a Georgia win in one of those big matchups. And I just sat back and I didn't care who won the game. I like both programs, don't care, and just enjoyed the back and forth and the drama and big plays of the moment.
I did care because I'm the only one of us who picked Tennessee, and I need all the dubs I can get there. I was also the only one who picked A&M, so they kind of help balance me out there and keep me at 4-1 and even with you guys for the first week out of the 3. I think that whatever Josh Heupel was trying to do in that last 10 seconds that led to the false start, that was his only really bad coaching mistake, and that it maybe like kind of threw the kicker off a little bit. I don't know, but you got to make those kicks. I know it's tough in a big spot, but the minute that the second that they missed it, I was like, well, there's no way Georgia's not winning this game, and I came away a much bigger believer in Georgia as far as a team that can make big plays and score than I was over the last couple of weeks. I think they're fine at quarterback. I don't think that they people were kind of wringing their hands over, what they were, did they really make the right decision there? And I think that they're fine. Although when he throws the deep ball, man, he just likes to lean back and let it go. But they've got playmakers now. They're running the ball better than they were last year. I still don't think they're classic Georgia, but I don't think anybody's classic anything anymore.
Stockton just
Gunnar Stockton, but he's the kind of quarterback that Kirby wins with.
Yeah,
that's what he does.
He does.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, he was very he wasn't like the reason why they ended up winning. He was very efficient is the word I'm looking for.
That last
very
throw,
efficient.
though, that one he made to tie the game was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player. Georgia's not going to not have a good quarterback. I mean, even if the guy doesn't live up to his hype, they're going to have a good quarterback and a guy who's got some pedigree to him. But I thought he played actually pretty well. And again, efficient is the word that I keep coming back to for Gunnar Stockton. And just amazing, these first two games we're talking about, two of the biggest games of the weekend. They both come down to special teams blunders ultimately. It's just that's college football, man. That's not the NFL anymore because dudes don't miss. Like, dudes don't miss kicks. They definitely don't bobble extra point attempts very often, if at all. But here we are, and you've got the big botched extra point for Notre Dame. And then in this game, the opportunity. And I think the thing about Tennessee was you had multiple opportunities to win this game. Yep. You had multiple opportunities to put Georgia down and win in front of this incredible atmosphere and crowd there in Knoxville. And I give Georgia a lot of credit for just staying in the fight. And then when they got their opportunity, said, oh, wait, this is going extra rounds. Well, we're built for this. And then went and did their thing in overtime. But yeah, I mean, Tennessee just has to be feeling awful because that was there for the taking. That moment was there to be had. And you missed that kick, but you can also say, well, we shouldn't have had to have resorted to even kicking that. We could have been up by more. We could have put this away earlier. But again, Georgia stuck around and ultimately made the big plays there in OT to put it away. And I just felt like it was very, what is the right word? I can't think of it. But the ending of the game when it goes down to like, was that in or was that just it was very gosh dang, what is the word for it? It wasn't a big explosion.
It was anticlimactic.
Anticlimactic. Thank you. It was very anticlimactic ending to that game. And just everybody's kind of like, well, wait, that's the end.
Yeah.
And then Georgia celebrating, but hell of a game. Another great one out of the SEC and just nationally, just another great game this weekend and a huge win for Georgia that I think says a lot about them because I do feel as though, they've got talent, but you're just like, are they like great Georgia or are they just like really good Georgia? Are they national title Georgia? Where are they? I still don't know all the way, but they definitely took a big step forward for those who may be wondering on Saturday.
I think that they're one of those that can drive a coach crazy. Are they wait till the moment, Georgia? Do they kind of fall asleep because they're so good? And you can't do that anymore in college football, but they did get the W and a nice win for the Bulldogs against Tennessee. USF, it was a good ride. It doesn't mean it's over. And they go into Miami. The game was delayed for quite a bit, and so I kind of lost track of it. Miami smoked them. Absolutely dominated USF. Kind of put their flag down along with waiting to see what happens with Florida State week in and week out. Those two teams are both in the top 10, and USF will have to regroup, and I'm sure Alex Golish and company will. And right now, USF's still a team that could get that group of 5 invite to the college football playoff.
They went 2-1 in those 3 games to start out the year. That should have been that's the most likely positive scenario for them, right? In most cases.
If I would have looked at their schedule, I thought 2-1, that means you're going to have to pull off an upset, which they did to get the 2-1.
Yeah, so they beat Boise State and Florida, and then they, 2 teams that in the past USF teams wouldn't have really had a chance with, and then went down to Miami with people thinking, hey, they could hang with the Canes. The Canes kind of showed that, like, look, we're a little bit better than the teams that you've played so far, but I think they're going to be fine, and I fully expect them to be in the mix when it comes down to the end of the year. They have probably the best quarterback in their conference. They've got a coach who's hot right now, and his program has taken hold. He's got years worth of his players, and so I'm very impressed with what they did. Although those rain delays like that or weather delays that they get, I would think always kind of maybe favor the home team just because they're ready to go out and get there. And then you've already traveled. You've done that. Now Tampa to Miami's no awful trip, but still, the Canes are just better. They're just a really good team.
No, they're really good, and Cristobal's got them rolling.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the TV rating after all of the talk last week about the CW. What did that blowout look like in terms of a rating? It was kind of what I was afraid of. I always figured Miami was going to win this game, but I think we talked about this on Thursday and Friday of I'm just not sure if it's going to be a close game or it's going to be an ugly game. And ultimately, by the end, it turned out to be ugly. And you got to talk to your people in Florida, man. We got way too many weather delays this early in the season. I don't know what's going on, but it's like every week there's a couple of weather delays that are interrupting. But, yeah, I mean, Miami flexed their muscle. And I'm not the biggest Carson Beck fan in the world. I know I kind of poo-pooed him after the Notre Dame game, which was very much a minority opinion. I don't know. There's something about him that just doesn't really resonate with me, but I have to say that I'm way wrong on him. I mean, he's so far been fantastic for Miami, looking every bit of the 5-star quarterback talent and also looking every bit like he's worth the pennies and the dollars and the Lambos and whatever else they gave him to come down to South Florida. He is a difference maker for them, much like Cam Ward was, but they're just a better team this year, I think. And I think that they're actually being a little bit disrespected in the polls. I think they've done enough at this point and been good enough that they probably deserve a little bit more than they're even getting. But they're cruising on along. And that was mightily impressive that they just took care of business. I mean, it was 28-6 at halftime and they never looked back. And I hate that for South Florida, but man, no hanging your head at all. They've been very good. And I'll tell you, they'll still be very good moving forward, but there's some really interesting games coming up with South Florida, like the North Texas game. I know nobody would have ever circled that one, but after this weekend, you kind of have to. They've got, what is it? Who else did I see on there? Memphis, UTSA. So they'll go and handle South Carolina State this weekend, but there's some fun games coming up for USF, and I think it'll be an interesting little fight for that G5 spot because there's a few contenders right now, but they're definitely near the top.
AAC is a tough league this year.
Yeah, it is.
There'll be some interesting games.
All right, so we will have Willie Fritz, Houston football coach, at 3:30. Taylor McHargue will join us around 4, and a lot of other things to get to as we move through the show to kind of spread it out. Do you want to hear discuss the coaching changes, or do you want to wait till after Willie Fritz at around 3:45?
Let's do it after Willie Fritz so we can let it breathe a little bit.
All right, that sounds good to me.
But I'll give you guys something to think on. I want your opinion on this, and if the chat wants to chime in, that's fine. What job would you rather have? If these are say this is the only two you had a choice of. These are the only two that open up. That's not going to happen, but like these are the only two that open up. Do you want UCLA or Virginia Tech?
I want Virginia Tech.
Well, I am partial to Southern California, but you're asking me to win football games. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, in that case, I would need to know a lot more about what UCLA's got up their sleeves and what they're planning on because the Deshaun Foster hire was a disaster. They had to cram it in there because of the situation they were put into with Chip Kelly, of course, but a guy who was in too big of a spot too quickly. I think that became very clear. And look, I don't think any of us are surprised. I don't think most people are surprised, but since that Utah loss, we've been kind of saying like, I don't know how where is this thing going if you're UCLA? So I'm not surprised as we'll get into that, but I think based on like everything right now, Virginia Tech, but
who has the best tradition?
Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I mean, Frank Beamer years, yeah.
Especially like if you're talking for someone like me who grew up in the 90s and the 2000s, then definitely Virginia Tech. But, I mean, I think that Virginia Tech's probably the one that most people would choose. I do feel, though, is like being in Los Angeles, and not just Los Angeles, but a nice part of Los Angeles, like right there in Westwood's really nice, and having that Big Ten money. That's where my pause is the Big Ten money, because that is a bit of a difference from the sharing that's going to go on in the ACC for however long that's going to still remain intact. So that right there would maybe give me a little pause, but overall job just right now, the way it looks, I'd say Virginia Tech.
All right, we'll get more into it and what happened with both those programs. I remember touring the UCLA campus. I want to share that. I mean, there's a lot of good things about it, but you wonder about where they are with their commitment to football. Also, later on, I mentioned Taylor McHargue. We will look thoroughly at the The Big 12 from over the weekend. Some teams flex. We've got a table set for a really salty weekend, especially a game in Salt Lake City. All of that and more. Rich Rod's post game. Many things to get to, including we have not forgotten about a couple of the other bangers that occurred in the top 25 in the ACC, and then also another one that occurred with an SEC game too. All of that. We'll spread it out. We're there for you. Willie Fritz will start us off, and this is 365 Sports. Petty Clinic, lowt.com. Dr. Kent Petty and his business started 10 years ago. They celebrated, it was a week ago Friday, when they had kind of an open house and all sorts of, they had games and food trucks out in front of where they are just off of Old Hewitt Road in 84. 10 years in business. I remember when I was first say, hey, will you go meet him? And I did. And then started to understand what he does. Helping you, men, 1 out of every 3 to 4 men have symptomatic issues of low testosterone. Some of it might be your energy. Some of it might have to do with your sex drive or performance. And some of it might have to do with you're in pretty good shape, you're fit, you have a good diet, all of that, and you still have a little belly fat because your testosterone's too low, not working to keep off what would normally fall off. So Dr. Kent Petty can help you out. Contact them at pettycliniclowt.com. They'll set up for you to get your blood drawn. He gets the results, and then we'll be in touch with you at pettycliniclowt.com.
That's my go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a T-fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Drive the Motor Trend Truck of the Year during the Make This the Summer event at Allen Samuels in Waco. Get a new award-winning Ram half-ton Laramie Crew Cab with $15,000 off plus 3.9% for $72, or grab a new Ram Lone Star Crew Cab, $11,000 off MSRP plus 3.9 for $72. Plus, Toyota, Ford, and GM owners get an additional $1,500 in savings right now. Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Summer's heating up, but Bird Coaching Ford is freezing the prices.
Right now, get 0% APR for 48 months, 0 down, and no payments for 90 days. Cool off with us in our freezing showroom and catch a hot deal before summer's over. Whether it's an F-150, Explorer, or Escape, we've got the perfect deal waiting for you.
Whew. Texas weather can be crazy. Shop anytime inside our showroom or at bkford.com. Experience better at Bird Coaching Ford.
That's my go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a T-fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
College football season rolling along. Hope you've enjoyed it so far. Not everybody has, because somebody's got to win, somebody has to lose, somebody's disappointed, somebody's shocked, somebody's mad, angry, and some are like, man, this is one of the best years we've been able to enjoy in a long, long time. I had one note about Marcel Reed that we didn't use in the opening segment, waiting on Willie Fritz of Houston. He had 360 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, ran for 37 yards, the game-winning pass. Did anyone notice the subtle pump fake as I had texted with Paul, because it didn't seem like And a lot of quarters, when you're rolling right, you can't get back and throw it. I had a subtle pump fake that led to the tight end being covered by a much smaller player. Huge play, touchdown on the left side of the end zone.
I was just going to say, to introduce our guest, he's also a beneficiary of Marcel Reed being good because he got a good quarterback out of that deal in Connor Wegman.
Yeah, he did. Connor Wegman. And we're now joined by Houston football coach Willie Fritz coming off the win. And what a win it was on Friday night, Colorado. And, Coach, thank you very much for your time. I guess everything not good. I know you've got injuries and things like that to deal with, but what was that moment like in the crowd and the atmosphere in Houston?
It was great. We had an excellent crowd, and you know, we played good the majority of the game. There's a few times we'd like to have back, which all coaches and teams probably say, but yeah, I was really proud of our guys. We you know, it was a big time atmosphere Friday night, ESPN, and the guys played pretty darn well.
When you have a newer coaching staff and program, is that you're barely into the second season right now, Coach, how do you gauge those moments about the guys when the lights are on like that to know that, like, if they're ready for prime time, which, I mean, no pun intended, but like that was a big moment for them with a lot of people watching more than normally would be because you guys are kind of isolated on a different night?
You know, we just are very consistent with our preparation every single week. I pride myself in the fact that you can't tell the difference on a Friday with me or a Monday with me. I think you got to be very, careful with getting too emotional, putting too much on one game or being pumped that you had a big win and then approaching things differently the next week, or you get that bad outcome and now it takes you 2 or 3 days to get going again. So, I tell them all the time that, get out there, see what's going on with the crowd and the atmosphere and soak it all in. And myself, I kind of think about when I was at Blinn playing Cisco, and I just, hey, 120 yards, 53 and a third. Let's go to work. Who cares about all this other stuff? And hopefully the kids lock in as well.
Those JUCO roots stay with you, don't they, Coach?
Oh, yeah. I just was talking to one of my old players, and I think I had probably, 7 or 8 of those guys at the game last Friday. So, it's really true, though. I mean, and I always tell them, it's tough playing as hard as you could at a JUCO game because you didn't have 4 TV timeouts in the first and third quarter. You didn't have 3 in the second and fourth, or is it reversed? I'm not sure. I always tell these guys, if you're a little tired, just hang in there. There's going to be a 3-minute timeout coming pretty quick.
Yes, there is. That's just the way that it works now, but you're absolutely right about that. I thought when looking at some of the transfer portal pickups this offseason, one of the more interesting ones to me was Dean Connors coming over from Rice to you guys, just right across there. And I watched him at Rice quite a bit, very productive guy, and he's obviously been very productive for you so far. What is he like to coach, and just how would you kind of describe his style and what he's been able to do for you guys through these first 3 games?
He's really fun to coach. He's really smart, book smart, and he's also got a high football IQ. This game is very, very complicated, and we do a lot of stuff. Just getting lined up, you got to have a great memory. There's a lot of memorization involved with playing football and being a great football player. So he doesn't bust very often. He's lined up properly. He knows his assignment, his responsibility, and carries that assignment out. Some people don't think that's a skill. It's a big time skill. And then he's got great speed. I think he almost did 23 miles an hour, with football pads on a couple of weeks ago in a long run that he had. And then he's, he can run in between the tackles. He can run out in the perimeter. He can catch the ball. He's great at blocking, whether it's run blocking or pass protection. And like I said, he just doesn't bust. So he's really done a nice job for us. I've been very impressed.
I, as a guy my age, when I see him in his face mask, it reminds me of almost what I saw with Arkansas and Texas and others in the 70s. It looks like he's got one of those face masks. It's modern and all that, but he runs like that too, it seems like to me.
Oh, he's a tough guy. And he's you hate to call him a throwback in the fact that he's a tough, hard-nosed, playing hard all the time kind of guy, and I got a bunch of guys that do that, but he's got a little bit of a neck roll.
Yep.
Sometimes I got my neck roll picture back here someplace. There it is over here.
There you go.
He's got a little bit of a neck roll, which also is unique as well.
Coach Ethan Sanchez, you called on him 6 times. He made 5 out of 6 of those kicks. That is not that kickers have never been important, but it feels like in a league that is full of parity, they are even more important nowadays, where you have a guy that can go out there and he can make kicks. And to send him out there 6 times is a lot in a game. Sometimes, especially with analytics, coaches are like, no, we're going to go for it here. What is it like to have that kind of confidence in a kicker?
Well, it's big. It's you said it all with the parity and how close games are and things like that. And that's the reason we recruited him. I believe he was 10 of 11 at Old Dominion, and his one miss was 50-plus yards. So he's shown it to us in camp. We got it in some down and distance situations where it's, better opportunity and chance of making the field goal than going for it on 4th down, and he certainly delivered.
So you have a bye week now, which is partly why I guess you're probably joining us. You have a little bit extra time, so thank you for taking some of that free time and being with us. How does that work? And where do you kind of, especially this early on, 3 games in, what's kind of the plan for the Houston Cougars as you prepare for Oregon State here in a couple of weeks?
Well, we lifted and watched all the film and put it to bed. We gave him Saturday and Sunday off after the game Friday night. Camp was a long camp, and so we were kind of looking forward toward this time of the year to give some guys a little bit of time off and rest. And then we're going to practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to give them off Friday, Saturday, and then come back and begin on Sunday because our game is a Friday night game also. So out there, I think it starts here, our time, 9:30. So it's the second game on ESPN on Friday night. So, it's a good schedule for us with the bye week where we get a little bit of time off. And, like I talked about in our team meeting this morning, we want to utilize this week to get better. And now during his bye week, you can kind of work on some situations that you weren't maybe able to go over in great detail during camp, hands team, onside kicks, different kicks that you might do, returns, maybe some technique fundamentals that you haven't done a great job of offensively, defensively. We're going to do a lot of safe tackling drills during the week to keep our edge in that area because we've done a very nice job of tackling these first 3 weeks. So there's a lot of stuff to improve on.
Willie, you have 30 plays behind the line of scrimmage in 3 weeks. That's not hard to know. That's 10 per game, SFA, Rice, and then what you did against Colorado. You had to make changes because the coordinator changed for you. It seems like the guys are playing as hard and as well as they did a year ago. Your thoughts about how they're getting after the football?
Well, Austin Armstrong, our new defensive coordinator, has done a phenomenal job. He's got a great staff. Those guys defensively do a super job. And one of the things that I've admired, I'm a big technique fundamental guy, block destruction, playing hard, effort, tackling, all those takeaways. We've done a very good job of that. And Austin's into that as well. Matter of fact, he's shown me a few drills that I haven't used over all these years that I've been coaching. So I just think he's done a really nice job of, putting in. And there's some things we kept from last year too, but for the most part, this is a new defense for us, and the kids have really taken to it. And Austin has done a super job of presenting it, to the staff and also to the players.
Your offense played a really clean game as far as turnovers go. All those you've got a veteran quarterback, Connor Wegman, who's been around college football for a while. You have veteran players around him. Do you notice them working harder at the little things because of that?
I think so. One of the things we really work on is ball security. I kind of, pride myself in, all these years I've been a head coach and we've been +1 or better. We've won 91% of our games, from JUCO, D2, 1AA, group of 5, and now at the Power 4 level. So we really emphasize it, and the guys have bought into it, and they in practice, they do an unbelievable job of exaggerating it, and it's carried over to the game. And, and I think having the veteran leadership with Connor and some of these other veteran guys that are playing for us on the offensive side of the ball, that helps the message, resonate throughout the whole team. So, yeah, Connor's certainly done a good job of helping us, make that a priority.
So watching the other night, I was wondering, are you guys going to have enough offensive linemen to continue playing? And not even like joking, because you guys were just going down left and right, and then Dean Connors gets hurt there for a second. I was like, oh my gosh, it just you couldn't catch a break as far as the health concerns go. I saw the news earlier today about David Ndukwe is going to miss the rest of the season. Just how much of a challenge is this that you're dealing with right now in terms of your depth, and what's it also like though from a coach's perspective to have to sit there and talk to a young man who's trained all off season and trained all this time, and then you have to let him know, hey man, you're not going to be able to play the rest of this season.
We had a team meeting this morning, as one of the things I talked about is, it's the only thing I dislike about the game of football. I love everything else about football. I think it teaches more life lessons than any other sport, all the other sports combined. And, I just, it's a tough, hard-nosed sport without question. But sometimes you get those injuries, and David's handling it really well. And, we all need to help him in that regard, to get over this. And we've had a couple guys that have had season-ending injuries. Rashawn Sanford, also one of our, key running backs, is going to redshirt this year because of injury. So yeah, that's something that you just have to work through. Luckily, we got a little depth on the offensive line. Did not have that last year. It was hard for me to practice because we just didn't have, good quality depth in case someone got hurt. But we got a little bit of it this year, and there was a couple guys that didn't really play Friday night because of being injured, not able to play, and those guys will be able to come back when we play Oregon State.
I tweeted something to Rashawn Sanford when the news came down. We watched him when he was at Harker Heights. He's been through that a couple of times. Love the young man, and I know it has to be tough because he could only help you quite a bit. Do you have a chance during a game, whether it's like Friday or any game, to ever stop for a second and enjoy the moment? Not can you enjoy a game ever?
Oh, there's been a few times in my career, but not very many. I kind of stay on until the very end of the game, and then wait till post game to have a little bit of fun. But yeah, and it was kind of hectic there at the end of the game. There's a couple times we had a 4th and a foot, and we didn't convert. Late in the ball game, that kind of would have ended it. And so yeah, it's sometimes hard to relax sometimes, but that's the profession that we're in.
You can watch it on film like you've seen it for the first time.
Yeah.
And then enjoy it.
Yeah.
Man, probably not then either. Then it's academic. It's homework. So maybe not.
I did watch it on Saturday. Saturday was kind of the first time that I was able to watch some football. Our son-in-law coaches down at the University of Miami, so we watched that game, and they played a really good ball game against USF. So, but when I'm watching at home, I'm just kind of watching. I'm not taking notes and all that other kind of stuff.
You mentioned the neck roll. You also have pictures, obviously, of family, friends, etc., maybe former staffs and players. Of that wall behind you, last question for me, Coach. What is your favorite piece of memorabilia?
Oh, I'm going to go ahead and go with right here with my two coaches, my two mentors. I had a guy named Dick Foster that I coached for at Coffeyville Community College. He's greatest junior college coach in the history of the NJCAA. I think he's 148, 24, and 3. So he didn't lose very many games. And then the other guy's Ron Randleman. Ron was my college coach at Pittsburgh State, and he's the guy who brought me down to Texas, and he did an unbelievable job at Sam Houston State. And he comes to almost all my games and kind of bad to me. So I would say that would be the picture, other than my family pictures that I have up here.
Hey, get a little rest. I know you won't too much, but like Craig said, you have the week off, and then you go out to Corvallis, Oregon State. And I'm sure you got a chance to watch them a little bit Saturday when they played against Texas Tech. Thank you for the access that you give us. We appreciate it. We don't take it for granted. I know you got a coach's staff meeting around the corner, so appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Go Cougs.
There you go. Willie Fritz, head coach in Houston, with us after the win Friday night against Colorado to get that conference record off and running at 1-0.
We'll talk more about the Big 12 in a little bit, but yeah, that was a nice win for them and was a dicey game at times, but it felt like they were pretty much in control. And so it was good to see them finish that off. And I think there's still some things that need to improve, like in the passing game, for example. But I mean, Dean Connors is a joy to watch run the football. When he went down, though, like they were losing O-linemen left and right. It seemed like, at least. And then he gets hurt and you're like, oh no, because it was still a close game. And I was thinking, like, man, without him, I don't know that they have enough juice. But Wegman and Connors, he comes back and is fine, and they were able to get the job done. So that was a really nice win on Friday night, and a big important win as well to start off conference play at 1-0.
I saw Sam Kahn tweet this. We'll come back with more, but I saw Sam Kahn, who covered Houston, he went to Houston, say that there was a run by Wigman when he broke free, cut it about the 8-9 or whatever, and just left the guy in his dust. And it looked, he said, that's the young man we saw come out of Bridgeland High School when he was recruited so heavily by Texas A&M. So, all right, when we come back, more to get to. Around the corner, Taylor McHargue at 4. We will have a much deeper dive into the Big 12 at about 4:25 or so today. Phil Bennett today at 5, and much more to get to. Andrew's already put up one of the polls. There'll be another one later. Garrett Ross and Brandon Rowe. Andrew Valade with us. Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoak, and this is 365 Sports. I don't know which one this is. I don't have a list.
It's going to be Petty.
Petty Clint. I know. I already.
Baylor Club.
I'm sorry. There you go. The Baylor Club. Hey, how about the weekend game they have coming up? There's no question Tech and Utah is a banger when it comes to the Big 12. We'll get to that a little bit. But the Baylor Club, with what they have coming up with a Saturday night game, the defending Big 12 champion, Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils coming into town, they will have their ultimate game weekend tailgate at Knox Hall Saturday throughout the day. And on top of that, great food, family fun, complimentary tasting, Swing Waco Golf Simulator. Then you can hop in on the boat tour bus, float if you want. Yeah, sailgating experience is available, and then head over to McLean Stadium for the game itself. McLean Stadium, which inside is the Baylor Club, the club itself, where you could have great brunch, lunch, and or dinners, or you just hang out. Maybe after work, go by there, have an appetizer, and relax a little bit, have a drink, whatever you want, and have it at a beautiful place. They've renovated it. It's still a few things to kind of touch up with what they've done with Nick Colwell, the new general manager, bringing even some new ideas that he brought with him from throughout the country when he's been in Phoenix or Seattle and elsewhere. The Baylor Club coming up. That's where you can be for a great tailgate experience Saturday before Arizona State. Knox Hall. This is 365 Sports.
Big savings are waiting at Allen Samuels in Waco. Drive off in a 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sport for just $29,990, or grab a new Jeep Compass Latitude for only $26,700. The road and trails are calling. And wrap up your summer in style with the Make This the Summer event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. Don's Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions, IT success guaranteed.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend's Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Taylor McHargue will join us early on in the next hour. There were 2 coaching changes. 2. It is September the 15th, and 2 coaches at the FBS high level have both been fired. Let's start with Virginia Tech. That was a bad deal against Old Dominion. Brent Pry, 16-24, 4 years, 0-3 this year. He will be owed $6 million in a buyout. Look what they gave Old Dominion for that game, and this is like one of the lower numbers. Old Dominion got $400,000 to play at Virginia Tech. Do you have that, Brandon? There you go. Virginia Tech paid Old Dominion $400,000 to play in Blacksburg and lost Old Dominion. It's not the first time. We've seen a lot of that, but a very bad start for Brent Pry. Virginia Tech is in a mess right now, and he is gone.
Well, and the more interesting thing about that is that ODU, like it says there from Front Office Sports, they have 3 wins all time against power conference opponents.
All of them.
Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
It's all Virginia Tech. So I have a feeling Virginia Tech's going to cut that off as soon as the contract's up. But that's an interesting job in that you have a college town in Blacksburg. You can take that down now, Brandon. You got the college town in Blacksburg. You've got, a lot of tradition. It's a college football town. They want to be good again. They haven't been good since Frank Beamer. His kids out there, coaching and doing well at South Carolina. I have a feeling that's going to be their Jeff Brom, and they may not get him this time around. But that's an intriguing job to me because, you're in the ACC. You can go up there and look, there's only 2 teams that regularly win it. And the third team that's been the most successful in that time since Clemson and Florida State have dominated the league is Virginia Tech. So if you can get that fan base and NIL and everything boosted back up, you could do well in the ACC.
Yeah, I don't think it's much of a surprise. I mean, the way they lost to Old Dominion, they just didn't lose. They got their ass whooped. I mean, they got beat up. Same Old Dominion that lost by a couple scores to Indiana earlier this year. So they're a good football program, but they don't need to be beating Virginia Tech by multiple scores. I mean, that's even though they've had success, as you point out, their 3 Power 5, is that what it said, wins were all Virginia Tech. So they've clearly got their number to some extent. But, yeah, that was bad enough to where you're sitting there as a power broker in Blacksburg going, we can't do this any longer. Now, Shane Beamer's the obvious name to pop up. But not everybody wants to follow in the footsteps. Not everybody wants to go where their father was and follow that path. You may want to just carve out your own thing there at South Carolina if you're Shane Beamer. So certainly you have to kick the tires. I'm sure they've already done that. I'm sure they already have a pretty good idea of what his interest level would be and have known that for a while because you have to, at least check that box one way or the other. But very curious to see who else is on that list because I don't think Shane Beamer does take that job unless there's just this sentimental tugging of the heartstrings and just being a kid and wanting to be the head coach of the Hokies like his dad. Outside of that, it's not a better job in any way, shape, or form. And even the part you mentioned, Paul, the ACC. Okay, what does that look like in 5 years?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not like it's just some golden goose out there like the league you're in currently where that, yes, there's high pressure, but there's no shortage of money. There's no shortage of support. There's no shortage of this or that. That's Shane Beamer's who you logically look at. You start there on the list, and after that, we'll see. But Philip Montgomery, now the interim head coach there in Blacksburg.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, I mean.
And look, if he gets him turned around, maybe you look at him. But
I don't know. I mean, he was very up and down at Tulsa, and I don't know that would be very inspiring for the Hokie faithful.
I think in my top 5 today is on it and guys that I would consider for that job. But it's a better job, I think, than a lot of people think it might be on the surface. But when their fans are going to be like, we got to go get Shane Beamer. Okay. But he's like, it's not like he's got South Carolina winning more than they have slightly. They're a legit contender if Lenora Sellers is healthy. I know they got rocked this weekend, but he wasn't playing in the game. So they're a contender in the SEC now.
Yeah, there's a few names that have been brought up. One of them though was another close one to the heart, Michael Vick. And I just don't feel like he's done anything near enough to prove that he should be the head coach of Virginia. That has disaster written all over it, although it'd be a fun story for an offseason or so. But, yeah, I mean, I think when you're looking at college coaching searches now, Alex Golish is at the top of the list, right? And there's various others. But I think Virginia Tech made the logical decision this past week. I mean, why let it continue? It's kind of been trending this way for a while. So I was not surprised when you saw that final score that the Hokies said, all right, we're throwing our name in the hat. Let's kickstart the coaching search.
Well, they're not the only ones. Deshaun Foster out at UCLA, fired after 3 games, 15 games at UCLA to start the Nico Iamaleava tour. Who himself has not been all that good, but Deshaun Foster is out. And I hate to say this, but when he went up in front of Big Ten Media Days, summer of 2024, they didn't go well. I also blame the media relations department for not prepping him better. It just seemed like he didn't know where he really was or what was the moment or whatever. But I hate it for him, but they're a mess. They lost to New Mexico. And, of course, they were drilled by Utah. And now if you're Utah, what does that mean? Because of how they hammered UCLA. UCLA is on the clock. They are opening up. And I'm not sure, based on the responses and just talking to a couple of people, texting a couple of people that got around UCLA, they're not sure that Armand, the AD, knows what he's doing either.
Well, look, I don't know who's going to want this job. Look, go to the next thing.
There we go.
Here,
Yeah.
go to the next thing. So I show you, like,
there's the stadium.
Okay, there's the stadium. That's what you're trying to deal with.
All the time.
All the
basically.
time.
Yeah, most of
you've
the
got
time.
a fan base who's totally disengaged from it.
And this is partly of why you asked the question earlier, and I kind of had to stew it. I think UCLA's got way more upside if all things are going well, but their finances are not right. The crowd support's not there. That's the bigger uphill battle, I think, right now. Over time, I think it could be the better job, but Virginia Tech has those things that they don't necessarily.
They're going to need institutional support for football that they quite obviously have never really had in the modern era. Like, you know, honestly, the last great thing that UCLA did, Troy Aikman was their quarterback. And
yeah, Terry Donahue had a great run, New Heisel at times, but for the most part,
Troy Aikman being their quarterback. And look, when you have Jason Eck, who's the coach at New
look at this
Mexico,
quote.
saying stuff like this about you after the game.
This is damning.
Yeah. We're going to play better teams than UCLA. I know they're a Power 4 team, but there's going to be a lot of teams we play that are better than UCLA. It's not like we just beat Ohio State or something, who's ranked number 1. We got to keep getting better and improve on a lot of areas on our team. And, I mean, that's...
To me, that quote, when I saw that quote on Saturday night, to me, that's just like I said, that's damning. Yeah. And that's what people think of your program.
Yeah. And look, they don't have the institutional support that they need. They're in debt. They've got all this Big Ten money. They are in LA, but their facilities are behind everybody else.
A lot of that money too.
Also, yeah, but they also, like, they have this travel thing, you know, like they've got to travel all that way. I just think that there's jobs that a lot of guys will be like, look, it's not worth the headache. If I'm going to be swimming upstream with the administration and they don't want to at least match what USC right across town is doing, then I'm already screwed.
Yeah, it's a tough gig, and whoever the next head coach is going to have a lot of assurances about the finances and the fan support and things of that nature. And so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the names here that are being mentioned. And the name that jumped out to me right away was Kalani Sitake. Now, I don't think Kalani Sitake would take the UCLA job. I think he's got a great gig going at BYU. Obviously, a huge background there, faith, family, all that playing. I mean, he's as BYU as they come. But it was interesting to see this list pop up and go, oh, that would actually be a great hire. That would be a fantastic hire. Yep. I don't think it's all that realistic, but he's somebody you absolutely positively have to kick the tires on. So he's a little bit further down the list. DeAnton Lynn, who has USC playing really good football right now. I mean, USC is one of the better teams in the country. You know, Dave Aranda on here, another Big 12 head coach.
From California.
I mean, maybe he would be in a situation where, you know what, I've been at Baylor for a really long time now. I mean, it's been, 6 years?
This is a 6th year.
So that's a long stay somewhere for a coach. And maybe that would be appetizing. I don't know what his situation is. Does he have still pull out west? Or is that just from when he was younger? I don't know. But he's an intriguing name to see on here as well. But all these names, I mean, Will Stein at Oregon, he's a guy who's
Eck, who just beat him.
I mean, Eck, who just beat him, deserves to be on this list. I mean, if I was hiring a head coach, there's some good options on here. Sitake, though, popping up. I hadn't really considered that, and I was like, oh wow, that would be a hell of a hire. It'd be a hell of a loss for BYU. I don't think they have to worry about that right now, and I don't think they'll have to worry about it for a while. But it is a name, along with Aranda, that is of interest around these parts, obviously. So. Just interesting to see him on that initial list. And some of these others, I mean, certainly have a great reason to be in the mix as well.
Yeah, if I'm Kalani Sitake, I don't know why, especially given the fact that, like, what they're paying basketball players and what they've paid for some football players.
Oh,
and
yeah, dude.
The buy-in from the fans, who UCLA is the exact opposite of that. Like, you know, you go to any city in America and the BYU allotment is sold out and then some. You go to any UCLA game anywhere in America, including your home stadium, and they don't even sell out their own allotment at home. So I don't know why you'd want that.
By the way, I like to get information from those who follow teams a little bit closer, like on an everyday basis. Raul, UCLA's finances are actually okay. The school forgave the debt. They also led the Pac-12 many years in attendance. even when you have Washington and Oregon or USC in the conference. So, Raul, thank you very much for the update on that.
Yeah, man, we're always open to learning and just getting stuff right. So, like, that's a big piece of it. And, yeah, last I had seen, their financial situation was not looking great. So the fact that that's been upgraded is definitely something that's working in their favor, potentially with this hire. And look, anywhere, UCLA, Auburn, I mean, well, that's probably about it. There's some schools that it doesn't matter really, and it's got to get really, really bad before you drive people off. But UCLA or other places that are like that, you win, people show up. Bottom line, you get the right coach in there who makes winning fun and exciting, the fans will show up, but they haven't been doing that. And you see the latest turnout, and that was also part of like, yeah, we got to make a call here. So I'm very intrigued by both of these jobs. They're both really good gigs. For different reasons. I think UCLA's got a ton of upside, and I would love to see Vatek return to relevancy and being that team that was such a big deal when I was younger. So these are the first two. There will be many more.
We have some super chats we'll get to during the show. Again, we'll have Taylor McHargue just around the corner. A neat note from Diesel on a super chat and more. Someone in the chat, spinnerbait, Tony White, who was at Nebraska, Florida State, went to UCLA and won hellacious defensive coach. Look what he's done for the FSU.
Number 3 on that list right there. Yeah, should have mentioned him, but yeah, number 3 on there, and maybe should be number 2 or number 1 because of that. But
was
yeah,
he's Syracuse, then Nebraska, then Florida
Nebraska,
State.
FSU.
Yeah.
Keep your beefy mitts off.
No, hey, well, listen to you.
Hey, listen, it's mine now.
Okay. All right. When we come back, we'll hear from Taylor McHargue, his thoughts about the weekend in many ways, the game he has this week too, and then at 4:30-ish, we take a deep dive into what a weekend it was. And, man, Mountaineers fans are smiling today, among others. And we'll get to that and more at 4:30. This is 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. And they have Ram trucks and Jeeps and SUVs and more. And they have them there for you. In fact, all the way through the month of September. It's one of those months with 30 days in it. They have 0% APR for 72 months on the unstoppable 2025 Ram 1500. This is a dude. This is one of the better trucks you'll find anywhere. 0% interest for 6 years on a truck that's built to do it all. You have to hurry up. It's there. It runs out at the end of the month. I know, what is it? We're halfway there all of a sudden. My God, it's almost October. Also, all the way through September 30th, 0% APR for 72 months on another fantastic vehicle, the 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee L. It is a great-looking SUV, 3 rows, 0 interest, the Jeep capability that you know and love, room for everyone, power for everything. That's available too. And then the 2026 Ram 1500, it's already available. Introducing that limited time 0% APR for 60 months plus 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Alan Samuels, CEO and General Manager, Ted T. What a great dude. What a fantastic dealership, along with David Gray, who handles the sales at Alan Samuels in Waco, Loop 340 east of 84.
Alan Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget, from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Alan Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560, or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Want to send a message to the show? Jump in the Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue chat room.
365 Sports is 4 o'clock hour. Willie Fritz earlier. Phil Bennett in an hour. Craig and Paul, David Smoak, Taylor McHargue, CBS and ESPN joins us on the show. Taylor, man, there were some bangers and there were some high-flying, almost old Big 12 style type games, but I didn't mind a lot of scoring because it was dramatic. Great people, great players, great moments. Your thoughts? Let's start with A&M and the win and Connor Wigman, Willie Fritz and company.
A&M, what a win, right? I mean, that was a game that I think A&M fans would tell you over the last, I don't know how many years, they don't expect to typically win those games. Those are those games when you look at the end of the season for A&M, and the running joke is that it's 8-4 every year, and the games that they should win, they do win, and when they're an underdog, they lose. And this flipped that script. So if you're an A&M fan, there's so much to be excited about. That being said, it probably shouldn't have happened. The hold at the end of the game is about as bad a call as I've ever seen. Notre Dame, the complaints from that side are warranted. It wasn't even a hold. I mean, it was really a tackle. And that's brutal. But you know what? Those calls go both ways in every game all the time. And so A&M fortunate to be on the right side of that one. And I think it totally reshapes their season. I think if you're an A&M fan compared to Texas right now, you feel really good about where you're at and with where Marcel Reed is at. And so, look, that was a really exciting game for them and one that they should be very proud of. And then for Houston, asking about Coach Fritz and Wegman, 3-0, I think they'll win this weekend as well against Oregon State and move to 4-0. And we talked about this back in August. I felt like this was a team that you would see really flip where they were at a year ago. Willie Fritz has been a program builder at every step of the way, and I thought that this would be no exception. And I completely think that this is a team that you'll see get to the 8, potentially 9 win mark in the Big 12. I don't think they're going to compete for the Big 12 championship this year, but I do think that's a team that you'll see end up this year with a big step forward from where they were a year ago.
Taylor, what do you make of Arch Manning and his mechanical struggles right now? And he's just so out of sync and doesn't even look like the guy who played last year. You wouldn't think that the hype would get to him, but this is treading on Garrett Gilbert territory for Texas in the early going.
Yeah, he just looks uncomfortable to me. I mean, I think that it goes without saying, but I'm not in that building. I don't think he's hurt. I don't think I'd be stunned if it comes out later that he's got some sort of elbow or rotator cuff or something going on. I just don't think he looks comfortable. And this is a guy that, if you go back to a year ago against Mississippi State and against UTSA, I understand those aren't, world beater programs, and it's not the top of the SEC, but neither is UTEP. And it looks like from a year ago to now, he's taken a step back. And the stretch where he goes 0 for 9, and some of those incompletions are throws that, even a below average FBS and certainly a Power 4 quarterback, you would expect to hit a lot of those throws. And so I think for Coach Sarkisian and that staff, I think they're trying to do everything they can to get him comfortable and try and figure out what does it take, especially this week against Sam Houston, what will really be their last tune-up game, to try and get that offense on the same page and find the early down easy throws, because he's missing stuff that it's not just the shot plays and tight contested windows. we're talking quick game stuff. He's missing throws on the move, the things that he did so well a year ago. And again, against teams like Mississippi State and UTSA, I understand these are not the top teams that he's going to face. But again, Malachi Nelson for UTEP outperformed Arch Manning. If you just look down stat lines and some of the throws that Malachi Nelson made, you would say the better quarterback of the day was Nelson. So this is, again, the last opportunity that Texas really has to try and get him comfortable before they head on the road to Florida and begin SEC play.
I know we want to get to some of the big matchups this weekend, but what have you thought about the fit there in Coral Gables with Carson Beck up to this point?
Yeah, I think he's one of the top examples of why, in this era of the portal and NIL, I think they're proving, guys like Carson Beck are proving that it pays to go get a veteran quarterback and somebody that has the capability. And I think it's also probably pretty vindicating for him that a lot of what was thrown on him last year when he was at Georgia maybe wasn't fair. I think some of the criticism that he saw a year ago, I think they were blaming some things on him during his time down the stretch at Georgia, that maybe there were issues at Georgia that we didn't talk about. But I think the biggest thing for Carson Beck is I think that may be the best offensive line in the country. And if they're not the number one, they're certainly the top three units in the country. And to me, they're the clear favorite right now in the ACC. Right there kind of next to them at 1B, I would have Florida State. But those two teams, I think, on a warpath out of the ACC this year. And just, again, the quarterbacks that we've seen that are veteran guys that have gone in the portal this year, I think you're seeing why. And we, coming off this conversation about Arch Manning, it doesn't always just click for young guys. Sometimes it takes a little while for these guys to get comfortable. But Beck obviously playing really well, and I think that really is the favorite in the ACC this year.
Taylor McHargue, by the way, is on the Big 12 show, the Big 12 Now, with Peter Sousa every week. Also was at what I did not expect it to be close, but Missouri State and SMU over the weekend. Man, that thing got a little bit dicey, didn't it? And it was great to see both you and Brandon Marcello, who joins us, also a part of that broadcast.
Yeah, it was great working with Brandon, his first game on the sideline, and really a treat working with him. Look, if you're an SMU fan, I would not read too much into that game. I thought they just sleptwalked, and we're fortunate to get out of there with a win. And Missouri State, it was a spirited effort for them. It was their first game at home in the FBS. I know a lot of people tuned into that game and thought, what the heck is SMU doing in Springfield, Missouri? But they just sleptwalked early in that game, and it did not seem like a team that was super motivated to be there. And that's tough sometimes. You come off of emotional loss at home against Baylor, and then you got to pick yourself up off the mat against a Conference USA team on the road. And SMU looked like they just weren't super motivated to be there. I think you'll get the exact opposite out of them this week, as they go on the road to TCU in what will be a huge game for really both leagues, ACC and Big 12, with playoff implications later on in the year. But, and then not to mention that it's, the DFW battle, but I would not be that worried if I'm an SMU fan, just in terms of motivation. I think they need to get their defense, the handful of guys, Kilgore in the middle and a handful of other guys on the defensive side that are banged up right now. If they can get a couple of those pieces back, that'll make a big difference for SMU.
Yeah, I think they might have been looking ahead a little bit. Sleepwalking plus looking ahead to those frogs in that iron skillet for sure. Taylor, in the Big 12, Baron Morton's playing really well. Devin Dampier's playing really well. Game of the year candidate, certainly a heavyweight fight for one of the top spots in the Big 12, at least as it stands right now, coming up in Salt Lake City. What do you think about Utes versus Red Raiders on Saturday?
Yeah, what a big game coming up. I mean, I think this may end up being, I could totally see this being a game that we look back at the end of the year and it was the biggest game in the league for the season, and also wouldn't be shocked if it ends up being a rematch of the Big 12 championship. I think Utah, Texas Tech, and Iowa State look like the kind of the top tier of this league. And I think right behind that group is TCU, that, if you wanted to lump them into the top four, I would have no problem with that either. But Texas Tech really hasn't been tested to this point in the season. I mean, their non-conference was about as easy as it gets, while also facing, a couple of FBS teams that were in there. But we're going to learn a lot about them in this game. And I think the number one thing that I'm looking for, the Texas Tech's defensive line, that they went out and spent a lot of money in the portal to bring in some of these pieces. How do they look against Devin Dampier, who is, as a +1 runner, one of the top quarterbacks in the country running the football, ran for over 1,100 yards a year ago at New Mexico. And I think if Texas Tech's defense can make Dampier one-dimensional is such a coach-speaky way of saying this, but you got to get Dampier to obvious passing downs and make him deliver the football downfield. If Utah is staying ahead of the sticks and getting into 3rd and short and 4th and 1 situations, Utah is going to stay on the field on offense. And that's kind of a worst-case scenario for Texas Tech. They need to win first down, not let the +1 running game for Dampier get going, because if it does, I think that's where Utah wins this game.
Why is Clemson not scary anymore? Taylor, what happened?
I just don't think they're elite on the perimeter. I don't know that there's an NFL guy on that roster at receiver right now. And when we think about, I know Cade Klubnik's getting crushed right now. To me, I'm not sure Cade Klubnik's the problem. He's not the answer. I don't know that he's doing enough that you would say, man, this guy's the top quarterback in the league. I think we just talked about Carson Beck. I think he's playing better. Castellanos is playing better at Florida State. But I also think if you go down the line of the skill room for Miami versus the skill room at Clemson, I think Cade Klubnik would look a lot better if you swap those receiver rooms between Miami and Clemson. And so that was what stood out to me against Georgia Tech was, as a quarterback, that's pretty concerning if you're having to go quarterback run game and screens to try and move the ball against Georgia Tech. That drive in the 3rd quarter where they had to methodically go down the field and they're picking up 3 yards, 4 yards at a time. The explosiveness from those teams that we think about with Clemson, with Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, we're a long way from the skill players that they had on those teams to where we're at today. Think about how much better Hunter Renfrow, even, who's been a good pro, if you plugged him into this team, what a difference maker he would be. And Hunter Renfrow, I don't even know if he's in the top 5 of the receivers that Clemson had during those national championship runs, just in terms of the NFL guys that they had during that stretch. So to me, I think it's a personnel issue more than anything else. I just don't think they have the guys to be still a good football team, but are they a national championship team? No, I think they're a long ways from that right now.
Yet another week, Taylor, goes by and K-State still looks sick.
Yeah, the wheels are the wheels completely off? I don't know, but they may be down to one wheel. That's another team that total head scratcher to me. Coming into the season, like everybody else, I'll be the first one to raise my hand. I thought this was going to be I think I had them. It was my prediction was Kansas State versus Texas Tech for the Big 12 championship at the beginning of the season. So I'm right there with everybody else that has egg on their face with this team. What stands out to me, and less so this past weekend against Arizona, because I think they got outplayed, but the first 3 weeks of the season, it felt like they were in all the right positions on both sides of the ball and just couldn't make plays. There was all the opportunities to make big plays and get off the field on defense, and it was either a drop pass here or a missed assignment from the offensive line or a missed tackle, and those things adding up. And I think the loss to Army kind of broke that spirit early in the season. And it's a lot is made of, the joke now is, man, don't go over to Ireland and lose that game because second year in a row, you think about Florida State from a year ago and the issues that they had and what ended up being a 2-10 season for Florida State. And then fast forward now to Kansas State. Now the question is that even a bowl team this year? I think probably not. I don't know where they're going to find 5 more wins on that schedule. So that's a team that, look, I think you're trying to do everything you can to, if you're Kansas State right now, it's just try to circle the wagons and get to 5 more wins. If you can get to the postseason at all this year, at this point in the season, I think that would be considered a success.
Taylor, I'll tell you, I just did a top 5 that's going to air on Wednesday on the show today. I've done some research into this. The curse of the leprechaun is real, and it goes back to 1989. It's more than just last year. It is so real.
It's been the last 3 or 4 years, but also dating back to the 80s. Yeah.
So, I'll send it to you when it's done and all ready to go. So, because it's
please do.
Yeah, it's wild how that turns each and every week. How bad do you feel for the Tennessee kicker?
Man, it's very rare, I feel like, in major college football when you see a kid that is, I don't know if saying scared is too strong of a word, but extremely nervous. When they showed his eyes on camera, you could tell that this moment was just too big for him. And for Georgia, gosh, even in a season where it felt like this summer, this was the year that Kirby Smart in Georgia just didn't get enough respect or attention. And we spent so much time talking about all these other power conference teams and power teams, and Georgia's still sitting there. And I get Gunnar Stockton is not, the sexiest quarterback to talk about and gets all the storylines, but this is still Georgia, and there are still a bunch of NFL dudes on both sides of the ball for that team. And for Tennessee, the way that they came out, all the explosive plays in the first quarter, and to see that, and it was like a horror movie for Tennessee, just to see the bad guy getting closer and closer and closer and then squeeze you out. It's a brutal loss for Tennessee. And for Georgia, man, if you don't lose that one, where else are the spots in this schedule, especially with how Texas looks, and they get them at home? I mean, this looks to me, again, like another season where we'll be talking about Georgia into December and January.
I got to sneak one more in there for you, Taylor, because there's one more big game I'm curious on. You're a Lone Star Texas high school football guy, a battle of two alumni as well, John Mateer, Jackson Arnold against his old team, Auburn, Oklahoma. Got any type of a feel on this game at all?
Yeah, I love Oklahoma in this game. To me, I think John Mateer may be, if he's not the best quarterback in the country, he's in the top 3 or 4. And these are the types of games, what Sawyer Robertson, and we talked a lot about this, what he was able to do against Auburn a few weeks ago. I know it's different styles. Mateer is not nearly the stand-in pocket passer that Sawyer is, but I expect Mateer to play really well. And these are the exact kinds of defenses, when we think about Brent Venables, the style that Jackson Arnold wants to play at quarterback, I think Venables is going to try and make him play left-handed. And I have a lot more faith in Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer than I do in what Jackson Arnold and Auburn are going to try and do against this front, specifically against Oklahoma. So I take Oklahoma. I think they win this by a couple scores. And I think right now that should be the Heisman favorite. And I believe he is the Heisman favorite still in John Mateer.
Thank you, Taylor. Have a great, where were you at this weekend?
Connecticut. I've got UConn. My first time at UConn, and my first time seeing Jim Mora since his first game at UCLA when he had to travel to Rice. I know he could not believe he had to go to Rice Stadium in 2012.
There you go.
Hey, man, I hope you avoid overtime. That's kind of been their thing so far.
Right.
And that worked out well for them, but they've been competitive, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, they get Ball State, so I'm pretty confident this one's not going to go to overtime. But we'll see. You never know.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Great to have you on early in the week. Taylor McHargue, or anytime during the week, Taylor McHargue, CBS and ESPN, with us on the show.
So amongst the teams that we all collectively have rooted for and whatnot, obviously Baylor's got we got a couple of alumni here. They got a huge game coming up against Arizona State.
That would be Andrew, and that would be Brandon.
Another big one. FSU's playing Kent State. So
that game would have scared the crap out of me last year.
Last year, yeah.
Not even with Kent State being as bad as they are.
Yeah, not too worried about that. LSU, I'm sure they'll actually be able to score points against Southeastern Louisiana this week. Defensively, they'll be great, but they should also be able to score.
Will they be able to convert third and
as
one?
Well? I don't know. I'm not going to go that far just yet, but LSU feels like they should be pretty good. I got the Jackson Arnold reunion, which is going to be interesting, and I do think you make him as one-dimensional as possible. Don't let him run and make him throw to a win, and I think you feel great about your chances if you're Oklahoma. And then Nebraska doesn't play anybody either. Oh, wait.
Oh, no. What's this? See, all this other stuff.
Oh, wait.
All this other stuff.
Michigan.
If they lose, they end up 7-5 or something like that. But we'll see. They're at home. They're in Lincoln against Michigan, who their quarterback, their freshman, Bryce Underwood, is awfully special.
I'm looking forward to that, though. I mean, it's a big game for Matt Rule, man.
Yeah, it is. And he has not beaten – are they ranked? Is Michigan ranked?
21st.
Okay. Yeah, he's never, beaten a ranked team in all the years of Temple. He's won some games that they weren't expected to win, but he's never really beaten a ranked team. All right. By the way, Dustin Archambault won the weekly college football pick'em. He was 8-2. Retired stockbroker and I were 7-3. So he gets the $100 Visa card. So, Dustin, I'll try to get in touch with you. I'm not sure if I have your cell phone number or not. In the chat, put in your email, and we'll get back in touch with you. Thanks to North Star Funding Partners and Kim Coulter for the $100 gift cards each week.
Yeah, thank you to Kim, and that should all be smooth operating now. I know we had a couple blips that first week or two.
Yeah,
but,
a lot more people were involved last week. Yeah,
I think we're good now. I think I went 6-4.
You were 6-4. Paul, 5-5. Bracket Cat 5, and so Scotty B 5. But the overall rankings And this is from what I've been told by Kim. The overall winner at the end of the year, including the championship game, will get a Lamborghini.
Okay, great.
I am right now a game up on Scotty B. Michael DeHart's a couple back. Paxton and Troy, and I think Taylor, and retired stockbroker, all. And Dustin have 16 points.
Listen, I'm not really built for a Lamborghini. I'm more of a G-Wagon kind of a guy.
Wagoneer.
I'll go for a G-Wagon.
Okay, I'll go for whatever's free.
Yeah.
But that's where we are. Get in. You can still get in. I know we've been through 3 weeks or so.
Hell, last week was my first week.
Yeah, so
I couldn't get in there. So
yeah, I know. Yeah,
we have to do like a points per average thing or something.
I have no idea what was going on.
Yeah, I don't know either. But
you were busy.
I went back in the back page to look.
No, you didn't. I didn't mention it, but my name was there and it had an X next to it, and I had to uncheck it. And once I did, it was fine. So you just overlooked that.
But I couldn't find where to go.
I fixed it, and so I got in there and got 6 and 4. But we might have to do like a points by average kind of a thing to balance it out.
It's the only way. No, we might do that. We'll see. Let's get 5 or 6 weeks into it and see if I'm still. I miss Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Pitt, and West Virginia, which we're about to talk about, and Notre Dame and A&M. So there wasn't any bad losses. By the way, who would you win in a cage match? Just say who. Brent Pry against Clark Lee.
I'm taking Brent Pry every single time.
He was an offensive guard in college. And Clark Lee was a fullback. And neither one of those positions surprised me at all. They are both just badass. I love watching their teams play. And there we are with that. When we come back.
You're going to be watching one of them for a while longer. I don't know about the other one for much longer. Obviously not. He doesn't have a team now at this point.
Who am I? Georgia Tech.
Yes, you got to figure that out.
Brent Key. Okay.
You don't need to say Brent Pry's name anymore.
I sent Georgia Tech media relations a note about trying to get either that or Haynes King on sometime this week. And I know it's a busy week. We'll see, but we're in the portal with them. All right. When we come back, the Big 12 had a hell of a Saturday. Interesting Friday night. What set the table for this week and more? All of that. We'll have nuggets galore. And this is 365 Sports. Ideal. MRI.com in the Central Texas marketplace off I-35 in Waco, $497 or less for an MRI. The average is well over $1,000. In one case many years ago, and insurance didn't cover much of it at all. I probably just dumb for getting the MRI, but I needed it. Was $1,600. Yeah, that hurt. $497 every single time or less at Ideal MRI. It's worth the drive in if you're in Dallas or Houston or Austin, San Antonio, or anywhere in between to save yourself what could be hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And they have a state-of-the-art imaging machine. I mentioned that they also do full body scans. That's a different price, but the $497, and I've been inside their machine 3 or 4 times for my shoulder, my lower back, my abdomen, and it's been a really good and comfortable experience at IdealMRI.com.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, let Automatic Chef tailor a break room solution to your needs. Make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at Baylor.edu/alumni.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Penny Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective. Google search Penny Clinic Waco and reach out to the Penny Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pennycliniclowt.com. This is 365 Sports. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
Here we go. The Big 12 had a really good Saturday, and now, of course, they'll start to eat their own. We had some conference games, Friday night that we saw?
Well, the only teams that lost in the Big 12 this weekend technically lost to each other.
Yeah.
Even though one of them was technically a non-conference game.
Yes.
That's correct.
The Arizona K-State game. But we mentioned Houston. We featured Willie Fritz. He joined the show. Colorado, I actually like the toughness and the grit of Staub, the quarterback. That one run where he got flipped in the air and scored and almost could have been a pretzel. I like him. He's okay. I'm not sure what they're going to do moving forward, but Dion and company are soul searching right now.
Yeah, they're in a bad way. They're just not that good right now, and they're nowhere near as good as they were last year. And you lost a Heisman Trophy winner and a quarterback who was a very good college football player and a bunch of other really good wide receivers and some who have dabbled in the NFL already. And, yeah, I mean, I think it was just a monumental task to expect Colorado to just reload no matter how much you think that Dion's like the next big thing. It's just too much talent lost, and everybody should have accounted for it, or in some cases accounted more for it. I'm with you on Ryan Staub that he played really tough, but that's just not going to cut it week in and week out. I think ultimately the answer is going back to Caden Salter, and you're Dion, and you're just making sure that his head's right and you know what's expected of him, and you make sure that he's doing what you ask him to do. And I think that's your best bet to win some football games is Caden Salter.
But have you messed him up a little bit with what you did this past week?
I don't know. I mean, I did find it very interesting that when Colorado was struggling, which, hey, it's the Houston defense too, but he just kept Staub in there. There was nobody else. I really thought we'd see at least 2 quarterbacks, if not all 3 of them. And we only saw Ryan Staub.
I wondered watching it if we were at a Jalen Milroe, Nick Saban type situation, where Dion,
the timeout corner,
where Dion's like, all right, you guys aren't going to work or do what I tell you to do. I'm going to put Ryan Staub in there. And I think he floated that out at the beginning of the week to see how they reacted. And maybe they didn't practice the way he wanted them to. And he's like, I'm not kidding. I'll do it. And, but Colorado doesn't have a running game. They don't have that. There are all things that they need to rebuild. And that was my thought. Not to mention, look, Dion was away from the team dealing with his health for the entire offseason. That's kind of a big deal, I think, when it comes to just building how things are going to go once the season starts. I mean, they didn't see him regularly like they would have. And I'm not saying that the chemistry's all off, but just in the way that most teams work, it's the routine of all of it. And they just maybe didn't have some normalcy in the offseason because rightfully worried about their coach, and he's not there, and he's getting treatment, and he's in Dallas, and he's not, at the facility all the time. I think that probably maybe coaches can be rusty too.
Yeah, certainly. And I think eventually, like I said, I think they go back to Salter. That's the only way they're going to win football games, in my opinion. You don't want to ruin Julian Lewis's career before it even gets started by throwing him into a messy situation. So I know Deion's getting blasted for making the changes quickly as he did, but I also know we're not privy to what's behind the scenes and like if him and Salter are butting heads or whatever the case may be. But yeah, if Colorado didn't get the quarterback situation figured out, there's not a lot of optimism for this season. Like you said, less than 100 yards rushing. Now Houston's good on defense again, but even with like the Millers, who are very good players, they don't have the same wide receiving core either, or a quarterback. So yeah. And for Houston, I mean, we mentioned Connor Wegman, very productive on the ground. Their running game is pretty solid, over 200 yards. Him and Dean Connors doing a big part of that. Stephon Johnson's a great option at wide receiver, but the MVP was certainly Ethan Sanchez. And I'm glad that Paul brought him up with Willie Fritz earlier, because Ethan Sanchez was fantastic. Did miss one of his 6 field goals, but 5 for 6 and along a 52 plus 3 extra points. I mean, damn, man, he nearly outscored Colorado by himself.
Yeah.
If you're Houston, you need to punch it in a bit more, obviously. But yeah, shout out to Ethan Sanchez. Big game from him on Friday night.
But one of the things that you can do is, if you're an emerging team like Houston might be, if you're not there yet, if you have a kicker who can just go get you those 3 points and you don't mind putting him out there, look, so you have to kick 5 field goals to win. Next year, you have to kick 3. Like, it's just part of the process.
A field goal and special teams makes an average team good, a good team really good, and a bad team, if you have it, you have a chance to win a few games. And if you don't, man, you could lose a couple of games along the way. All right, so Arizona. We're going to try to get through all of them and also bring some nuggets about teams that either won or not. Arizona beats K-State. Here's a comment from a K-State fan and a guy that has played there. This is one of the most embarrassing performances I've seen in my 30-plus years as a K-State football fan. Absolutely pitiful, and there's no reason to think it's going to get better. They are in full, I don't know, meltdown, panic, pissed. What's going on? They are not good. They're not in a good place.
I think they're not pissed. I think that's the problem. I think that they're kind of –
I think the fans are pissed. Yeah, I know what you mean.
The fans are pissed. The team, I don't think is. And I think that they've gotten punched in the mouth like now week after week. They haven't responded. I don't get putting a governor on your quarterback's athleticism like they appear to have. I think that they need to turn him loose a little bit more. I'm not sure what that's about.
I think it's partially coaching. I also think it's partially decision making by the quarterback.
Yeah. So like he's regressed a little bit, and I didn't expect that at all. I don't think anybody did. I was expecting to see Pop-Tarts Bowl plus 10, Avery Johnson, and we haven't seen that.
I always was, they're doing this is not like, oh yeah, but I just always wondered about him as a guy that really could throw the ball well enough. Efficiently, yes, and at times, yes, but I just always wondered about the offensive style of what he is compared to what people thought he was going to turn into some like all-American type passer, and he's not. He does not have that ability.
Which to me means cut him loose. If you want to get to a bowl game, just let the guy run.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
I don't know what you do at this point with that. I mean, he's such a huge investment for you, and then you do something like that, and then he's in the transfer portal, which may be a good thing for all parties. That's not necessarily always a bad thing. Sometimes it works out, but guys, 13 of 29 for 88 yards, no scores.
No, it's terrible.
No, I know.
88 yards passing on under 50% completion percentage. Are you freaking kidding me for a star quarterback? They had 105 yards rushing total against Arizona. Now, Arizona's got a nice defense. Like, they're not world beaters, but they've got a solid defense. But, I mean, that is atrocious. They had less than 200 total yards on offense. Arizona's good. They're not that damn good.
No.
K-State's just that bad. And it starts up front. Their offensive line is terrible. Avery's not playing very well. They don't have big threats at wide receiver. Dylan Edwards not being involved in the running game. Even if he was, it'd be a little bit better, but it can't even block for him either. So then you go and look at the defense, and I mean, that secondary is a mess. They're not very good. I mean, they're not a very good football team. And I was waiting for this past Friday to be like, all right, this is a winnable game. You turn it on, you win that game. Next thing you know, you're 2-2. You're entering Big 12 play. You're like, all right, we feel a lot better than we did a few days ago. But now you lose that game. And in a game where you really got outplayed and you were fortunate that it was still a game there because you had a big third quarter, Arizona could have kind of, I thought, distanced himself a little bit more. So that was closer than I imagined it being by the end of it. But still, it was not a game at all where you felt like Kansas State was a good football team. And I don't know how you go about fixing it now. I don't feel like we need to say that Kleiman's on the hot seat yet, but there is a lot of grumbling, and rightfully so. And then you listen to him in the post game, and it doesn't sound like he has much in the way of answers either, which is even more worrisome for you.
Yep. How about
Arizona?
Fafita seems to be comfortable. They're not flawless, but pretty damn good start for a guy that I thought might be one of those that we're talking about a month into the season. And Brent Brennan, a nice start for the Wildcats.
I think Noah Fafita is a bit of a gamer, like just kind of the natural way he plays. And look, he's not like a part of the reason he's such a kind of a cool story from a couple of years ago was he's starting as a freshman, and you're not looking at this guy who's 6'5", 215, pure like out of the quarterback factory. It's a little kind of, Johnny Manziel, Kyler Murray built kind of a guy who nobody's really heard about.
He's shorter than I thought.
Because he really just wanted to go to Arizona. He's an Arizona fan through and through. He loves Tucson. That's where he wants to be. And so last year, they just didn't respond well to the coaching change. It looks like Brent Brennan's kind of got his vibe going there, and they're 3-0, and they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're beating teams that they're supposed to beat. And look, I know that Kansas State might not have been that on the surface, but they're a better team than them right now, and you should beat better teams.
He and Satterfield, coming out of Big 12 media days, were two coaches who I thought had been getting slept on that seemed to have a little bit of confidence to them.
Give Arizona a lot of credit. It was a nice win for them, even though we all kind of don't think K-State's good, but that's still a name win. That's a big win to have, even though it's not a Big 12 conference win. To be 3-0 is a nice spot to be in. I think there's a lot of encouraging things. I think Noah Fafita just looks healthy and happy and looks like he's enjoying himself, and I didn't really get that vibe a lot. Like Teteroa McMillan looked like he was having fun at times last year, but I didn't really get that feeling overall. And it looks like they're having a lot of fun. So he's playing really well. He's doing his thing, and it's great to see because that wasn't the case last season in their first year in the Big 12. But the big name on offense, besides Fafita, of course, was Ishmael Mahdi, the big pickup in the transfer portal from Texas State. He was fantastic on Friday night, rushing for nearly 200 yards on that K-State defense. I love that pickup for them.
No answer for him.
No, they had no answer for Mahdi, and so he went crazy. Had some catches as well. Arizona, I don't know how good they are just yet, but give them credit for being 3-0. Give them credit for that win. And I think the biggest thing for them is they've got a lot of confidence and a lot of joy right now, which can propel you further into getting maybe one or two wins you wouldn't have otherwise. So I think they're in a good spot. Not putting them in the contenders list right now, but they're in a good spot.
Yep, they are. And how about Rich Rod? Listen to him right after their massive win in overtime and another one of those bangers that was a thriller. It wasn't a top 25 banger, but we know what the backyard brawl means to both schools. Rich Rod right after their win against Pitt. God, that was the great song too, man.
I would like to know, is there any beer left in Morgantown?
Yeah.
Is it? I mean, look, I would say that like the sales ticked up a notch just because Rich Rod was there. But
probably, yeah.
But I think that after that, and he said he's burning a damn couch. I wonder. I mean, it's what he told us.
I bet he did. I bet he did. He had like a little charcoal lighter and poof.
I'm sure his wife's like, that was expensive. We'll get another one.
I thought early on they looked good. They were engaged. And then I thought Pitt kind of took over control of the game. It was still tight, but I felt like maybe Pitt had too much. They did not. West Virginia comes back to win it. in overtime in another phenomenal game on Saturday.
Did it playing all three quarterbacks too, which
kept them all kind of engaged without playing mind games.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
No, and ultimately Mark Yule gets to have the big W there at the end. So, you get your guy some time and some others time, but ultimately Mark Yule helps put you over the top and get that game-winning score. I thought that was an awesome win for the Mountaineers. And one of our good buddies, Justin Walker, who covers West Virginia, he emailed me or DM'd me and sent the Rich Rod postgame interview thinking we'd want to play it. And you were absolutely right. And we just did. And I said, good call. Thanks for passing along and congrats on the win. That had to feel incredible. He said, one of the coolest experiences of my life as a sports fan.
Wow.
So shout out to Justin Walker and keep doing a great job covering West Virginia. And so I think he said what a lot of people were feeling out there in Morgantown and beyond, a really fun win against a team that you hate. By the way, I mean, no disrespect to any Pitt fan that might randomly be watching, but God, that was hard to watch them on Saturday. Eli Holstein was part of the reason why I gave them the edge in picking them, and he was bad. I mean, bad. Now, some of it was West Virginia. Some of it was just Eli Holstein. Mm-hmm. That was not good. Really, I thought Pitt was so poorly coached and just I don't know. Like, if West Virginia hadn't won that game, I would have been pissed off walking in here today that they let that opportunity slip through because that was just there. And they just had to go and take it, and they did, and it was awesome. And even in spite of all the injury news last week and losing a couple of your top guys, I mean, they just stayed in it and scoring. It's 24-14. You kick the big field goal. You get the ball back, 2-yard pass with 11 seconds left to send it to overtime. Places going bananas, and then to go and seal it in OT. Just a very, very cool moment for the Mountaineers. Awesome win, signature win in Rich Rod 2.0 era for sure. And like we said it would, takes the taste out of your mouth. Not that Ohio is a terrible program, but you watched that right away in no time by turning around and beating Pitt.
You win that game, and you could do whatever you want. West Virginia,
they're like Ohio. You mean?
Yeah.
You mean the state of Ohio?
That didn't happen.
Yeah.
So on Saturday, the Big 12, again, those are the two conference games, although one, Arizona K-State, was not. It was a game, but not a conference game. 8-0. And along with that, Texas Tech boat raced Oregon State. Baron Morton threw for nearly 500 yards, had a monstrous game. And in the end, Cincinnati won by 100. And everyone kind of took care of their business in the Big 12. Everybody did take care of their business in the Big 12 on Saturday. A little bit later on in this segment here in the next 8 to 10 minutes, we'll tell you the players of the week within the conference. But, Texas Tech now has Utah around the corner, but they had to win that game to get ready for that one.
Yeah, Texas Tech and Utah is the showdown now. Tech is a merciless killing machine right now. They're just slaughtering people, and it's a 3-0 start against much inferior competition. By the way, guys, the Pac-2, it's not good.
No.
It's what I feared and what I've mentioned a few times now throughout the last couple of weeks about just the disparity kind of growing. And you look at their weekend this past weekend, and it was very bad. But this was the biggest challenge Tech had faced at this point, and they passed it with flying colors. Baron Morton was awesome. He's got so many damn weapons. Jacoby Williams was great at running back for them. A fun young player out of East Texas. And they've had to, accommodate that running back room a little bit because of the wrench they were throwing early on with Quentin Joyner. But Jacoby Williams is one of those guys stepping up. Receivers galore. Defense is playing solid. This is, though, where I've been waiting on this type of a game to really see, Tech flex against a team that can flex back. And so they've handled their business. I give them tons of credit for not sleepwalking like some other teams this weekend and not playing down to competition. They've just been cold and calculated and crushing people. And now them and Utah had a bit of a – by the way, Wyoming is Colorado's next opponent. Wyoming, who just gave Utah a little bit of a fit early on. It was a 3-0 freaking game at halftime.
I saw that, yeah.
At halftime, it was 3-0. It ends up 31-6 because you'd had some missed field goals and just kind of sloppy. But eventually, Dampier and company turned it on, and they handled their business and didn't have to break too much of a sweat. But they definitely did not look good in that first half. So.
No, and Utah, it seems like they kind of fly under the radar of who they've played. UCLA sucks.
Yes. We gave them credit for that. Now we need to take it back.
Yeah, and now again, Wyoming, they can push you a little bit, but they haven't really. These two teams get to have like two Rams, that old Ram truck commercial, ram their horns against each other this weekend.
They've had this same exact first 3 games. In reality, like they've done what they're supposed to do. They've dominated people. There's no difference between Oregon State and UCLA right now. I mean, like that's the long and the short of it right there. So they've had those games. They've made the most of every single opportunity. I'm sure like they felt they left some meat on the bone with Wyoming, but to beat them 31-6 is, I mean, that's fine. You don't get to pick when the 31 happens a lot of the time. So they did what they were supposed to do. I thought Kyle Willingham was going to kill somebody as they walked into half. I would have hated having to be like, hey, coach, what do you think's going on out there? He'd be like, hold on. Can you just stay out here and then I can get my timeline straight because I'm about to commit a murder. You know, like in that locker room.
3-0.
It's 3-0. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a little bit shaky.
I was sitting there going, well, next week's matchup is losing a lot of its luster, and thankfully they turned it on. But, Utah Tech is a mega matchup in the league, and I think nationally one of the biggest games, certainly, and we'll have a big say, I think, at the end of the year. So
Fox
looking
will be
forward
there.
to that.
Fox will be there with their big noon kickoff.
Yep.
A couple more, and there's other, again, they were 8-0. Iowa State, give them a little bit of a pass because they've played so many good people early.
I think that was their letdown.
They were kind of,
I think it was also they played a really good quarterback. They were on the road. They've had the weird start to the year where they've handled their business. It took them a while. They definitely played with a little bit of fire. They were at parts of that game late where you're going, I think they could be in like upset territory.
That could have gotten sideways.
Yeah,
that could
but
have been one of those.
They eventually were able to seal the deal and avoid just what would have been a total disaster. So, yeah, that was a nice win. Given the on the road, who all you've already played, you're expecting a letdown at some point. I think that might have sort of been theirs.
Arizona State, which plays in Waco this week, we'll get to Baylor in a minute because they kind of played with their food, even though the game was never close. They beat Texas State. We wondered 34-15. Cincinnati scored 70 against Northwestern Louisiana, and TCU doubled up Abilene Christian 42-21.
Yeah, Arizona State didn't have too much trouble with Texas State. It was not nearly as competitive as last year's game was. And I'm not sure if y'all saw that highlight of Levitt to Tyson, the crazy play that one of the various crazy plays those two have put together. But, I mean, Paul, if you haven't seen it, dude, you got to go. Yeah. Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
No, it was very
it's like
impressive.
Play of the year in college football.
No, it's
but
just,
I saw it, like, I wasn't watching the game, but as soon as I saw people going Jordan Tyson, like, I immediately, like, looked it up. I mean, that's one of the things I love about Twitter now, like, the way people can turn video around so fast. People are like, oh, my God, Jordan Tyson. You used to have to wait, like, an hour.
Yeah.
Now
it's immediate.
It's just like, I just need to refresh. And it's there.
I think that sets up a fun game this weekend. Baylor, as you said, took them a little while to just really, I guess, pull away. They were never like in danger. And you know what? Given who they played the first 2 weeks, they could have a little bit of a letdown against Samford and not like. I think when you've gassed yourself up the first 2 weeks for these big games, it's like, all right, now it's Samford. It's like,
well,
this isn't SMU or Auburn. This isn't.
Yeah. When your star quarterback, who's been brilliant, throws a couple of bad picks, and it just seemed like they won 42-7. But again, that's a game where you expect like 56-3.
Yeah, it was not a clean win. It was not a pretty win. It was an ugly win, even though it was 42-7. Sawyer Robertson can't be turning the ball over a couple times a game. That's going to put them in trouble because they're basically relying on their offense to win them a lot of these games. And so I think them and Arizona State both handle their business, gives you another great game in the league this weekend. TCU did their thing against ACU. And then who are we missing here?
I've made everybody.
Cincinnati.
Sorsby 70 spot up.
The ball didn't hit the ground.
Sorsby is really good when he's good, man. And ever since Nebraska, again, I think Nebraska's defense was part of the problem in that first game that they were dealing with. But since that game, and some of my criticism about Sorsby, but also just the weapons around him, they've been cooking these last couple of weeks. I mean, it's not Nebraska, but I mean, 70-0, and it could have been worse than that. You're not sneezing at that at all. They scored 35 in the first quarter.
Yep.
They had 56 points at halftime. So they just crushed Northwestern.
Well, Northwestern now, remember, that's the team that they ran the clock the week before.
Yeah.
I think it was, I don't remember who it was. Was it Minnesota or someone? Baylor played with their food a little bit. Again, they won. Now they have Arizona State. Here's a quote from Dave Aranda. I think this game gives us an opportunity to demand more, to show that what is okay ain't good enough. To just get by, that ain't it. That's not what we're doing this for. And that more is required, and really more is demanded. And now they get Arizona State. Saw Scadaboo score a touchdown against the Cowboys yesterday. But that game on Saturday.
Yeah, I never thought I would hear this from a Baylor coach after a 42-7 win, but he's right. Like you just knowing their history. But yeah, I mean, they messed around for a little while, and they can't do that. I'm with you, Craig. Like, you have Auburn and SMU to start off, and then you've got Samford coming in,
and then Arizona State the next week.
So this is that. I mean, they were never going to lose this game, but this is a game where you look sloppy. And here's the thing: when you look sloppy, sometimes you show your weak spots a little bit, and teams like Arizona State can pick up on that. So that's why you need to do, for example, we're just talking about Cincinnati. If you're going to try to watch Cincinnati versus Northwestern State to see where their weak spots are, you're not going to see me, because they didn't make mistakes. They didn't play with their food. They absolutely, slaughtered it, and then left the second half for the Buzzards to finish off.
All right, let's do the players of the week, and then we break. We have to come back with we will come back with Phil Bennett. He'll join us a little bit from his beautiful backyard in College Station. Here are the players of the week, Craig. And I got to tell you, I'm not into this dual stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not into and so. To me, it's either a player or not. It's not two. I get it, but this is a little bit, to me, a little bit like everybody wins a ribbon. But here are the players of the week from last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, they've got dueling guys for offensive, defensive, and special teams player of the week. But we're just talking about a couple of these guys. Offensive player of the week, Ishmael Mahdi for Arizona, and then Brendan Sorsby for Cincinnati. Mahdi, 189 yards on the ground. Big win, obviously, over K-State. And then Sorsby was fantastic. So big numbers for him. First conference quarterback to throw 5 touchdowns in one quarter. One quarter, he had 5 touchdown passes, Brendan Sorsby.
That's something to say about the Big 12 with all the quarterbacks they've had over the years.
15 of 15, 253, 5 TDs in one quarter, 39 on the ground, and a touchdown, so 6 total for him. So that was a big performance, obviously. Defensively, Jordan Crook at Arizona State, and then Bryce Pollock of Texas Tech, as Crook had 5th most tackles in FBS for the week, had 12, 3.5 for loss and a sack. And then Pollock, obviously Tech played pretty well overall, but had a couple of interceptions in that game, as they just did what they wanted to do against the Beavers. So a couple picks for him. That'll definitely get you a Player of the Week award. We mentioned Ethan Sanchez, Special Teams Player of the Week, 5 of 6 kicking for Houston in that win over Colorado. And a 52-yarder was the long one. And then Palmer Williams for Baylor. They did have to punt a lot, even though they still scored a bunch of points, but nearly 50 yards per punt for him. And then, the rest of the accolades. Ed Small, wide receiver, TCU, had a nice performance. Freshman of the week. Arizona gets O-line of the week with Mahdi doing what he did. That's not and Fafita running as well. It wasn't just Mahdi. And then West Virginia, defensive line of the week after that performance against Pittsburgh, where they go to overtime, obviously, but Pitt just 46 rushing yards, 6 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, and they're playing really well against the run. So a nice performance by WVU.
There we are, and we'll have this, and we'll have, like every Monday, a full throttle look at almost everything we can when it comes to the Big 12 as we move into the next week with a couple of games, especially the one that gets a lot of attention in Salt Lake City, Utah, and Texas Tech, and maybe in Waco with Arizona State and Baylor, among others, when we come back. What?
TCU SMU.
TCU SMU non-conference game. They don't like each other. They're not going to continue that series. But in TCU and SMU, I mean, SMU's kind of risen up a couple of times.
And I'll just add one thing. Oklahoma State against Tulsa. That's not a big game, but that's one of those you go, is Oklahoma State going to win that football game against Tulsa on Friday night? I don't know. So, there's some interesting games. But Phil Bennett coming up next.
Phil Bennett from his beautiful backyard in College Station looks back at the key games and moments, players, and more. This is 365 Sports.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow @GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine now has 2 locations to serve you. The original on Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street and the brand new spot in downtown Waco at 600 Franklin Avenue. If you're looking for the best in craft beers or local Texas bourbons, then the original is the place to be. And for the latest trends and online phenomenons, head downtown to the Franklin location. Either way, you're going to get the same great variety, customer service, and speedy experience. Check out both locations on their Facebook and Instagram pages, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street, and now downtown on Franklin Avenue.
This is 365 Sports. Check out the 365 Sports family of channels on YouTube.
Longtime college football coach and absolute great friend of the show, chilling in the backyard as he has the beautiful pool out the back porch. And, of course, you have no idea. And I showed a couple of pictures of the outdoor kitchen that is somewhere where you could absolutely live. You could pee in the backyard and just be right there all you want. Phil, thank you. There were some games, man. Wow. The game in South Bend, Georgia, Tennessee, Georgia Tech, and Clemson. We could go on, and some Big 12 games we'll get to as well. Let's start. Well, you're right there in the middle of it. Is everybody high as a kite in College Station?
I'm hopeful, Smoak, that these guys, we don't have another replica of LSU last year. You know, after that win, boy, we arrived. Our quarterback's ready. Now, it was a great win. Talking to a couple of their coaches, they were very realistic in that, you know, they won without playing great. You know, very seldom do you get a punt block for a touchdown, have a couple of penalties that hurt you bad, the kickoff return, and overcome it. It was a great win. I just hope, and I know Elco is hoping this too, just let's keep growing. Let's try to get better.
You know, Phil, I've seen, so many Aggie games over the years, and they had those moments where it's like, well, here they go. Like, this is it. Look, Marcel Reed missing 2 sure long touchdown passes by a foot. Like, those kind of things are the things that kind of ate them up, where they never capitalized on opportunities. What can a win like this do for a team that, especially since it's not against an SEC team, it's a non-conference game in football mecca at South Bend, can do for them, knowing that when they do make those mistakes, that they don't have to derail the whole thing, which has really been A&M's problem for quite a while, is you miss the one opportunity and you think that another one's not coming around.
Paul, you're exactly right. The people watching the game thought that. You know, when twice Concepcion's open, makes a great route, and we overthrow him. I think that's what they're excited about here. I know I was just watching them fight and play together. They're a little bit different team. You look at wideout, and they remind me of us at Baylor. They have run after catch guys. You know, they have Kendall Wrights, Corey Coleman's, those type guys that every time you throw it to them, you got to get them down. And I think Marcel, his stats, his yardage was great. His completion ratio wasn't great, but I think he'll get better and better. Now, I think you saw a team that even at their worst moments never gave up thinking they could win the game.
Did you know, Mike, I'm sure we probably asked you, but I don't recall. Did you know Mike Elco before A&M at all?
Yeah, I've known Mike. I've sort of course, he's quite a bit younger than me, but I knew him. I had some friends of mine that worked with him when he finally got his big break job at Notre Dame. And, you know, I think, too, one of the things I'm really happy about, Mike has taken over the defense. And I don't think if you looked at their roster, they probably don't have the draft picks that they had last year, but I like some of the things he's doing with them that gives them a better chance.
Well, it was an impressive win, no doubt about it. Dramatic as possible, just as dramatic as it could. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say one of the things was putting Des Ricks on Malachi Fields because Will Lee was full up of him.
Right. Yes. You know, that is such a historical place. I've told y'all the story. I coached in the longest game in the history of Notre Dame. And we won in 5 overtimes when the sprinklers came on.
Yeah, you did bring that up.
I brought that up. But that game, everybody, all the A&M people that I talked to, you know, just talked about the buildings, you know, how iconic it was. But I don't know about y'all, but I watched a lot of games. There sure seemed to be a loud support crowd for A&M when they did something well. I mean, I think they represented well there.
No question. There are different videos, you know, when the game's over of pockets and even a Sweeter 5 or so where they were locked into that. So who wins a cage match between Brent Key and Clark Lee?
I'm gonna have to go with Brent Key. He's an offensive lineman. Clark Lee's not that big.
He was a fullback, though. I mean, he's got to be that.
Yeah. I don't know Brent Key very well, but I sure like the way he coaches. And it's something that caught my attention after the game. Well, you know, they came up and they were like just astounded that you know, Georgia Tech had won. Mm-hmm. And he looked at her and he said, "Now listen, well, we're not totally. We've done this before, and we expected to win, and I love that, and I think that's the way they play." You know, after the game, I told Julie, my wife, I said, and I don't mean this with any disrespect, but I wonder if Jimbo ever goes back and says, you know, I wish I would have used Haynes King like we did the young man from San Antonio. And that they played so well when they went to the Orange Bowl, but they got away from that offense. Haynes could have done that. Yeah. But man, he had a great day.
Kellen Mond and then Haynes King. Yep.
That's right. They were two of a kind.
Yep.
You know, and Jimbo and them did a great job. Daryl Dickey was here and they did a great job of using him. But for some reason, when Haynes got here, they decided they wanted to be a drop back team. And that's coaching. And unfortunately, it cost him.
How difficult is that end of game fire drill field goal? Like, how much time went into perfecting that, and then but actually had to go out. I mean, we were all watching that clock thinking, oh my God, they're going to run out of time, and they nailed it. I mean, could not have spared a single second more than they did. But I mean, just how difficult can you put that into terms from a coaching perspective?
I think that Haynes said it after the game. This is the drill that we work on from spring all through fall camp, and that we do it every Thursday. And you practice. You have somebody timing it. And I think the offensive staff and Brent did a really good job. You know, it was almost like the dang Cowboy game Sunday. You didn't want to leave any time on the clock. I mean, you couldn't afford because Clemson had finally got on a little bit of a roll. So I thought they did a great job.
Coach, what did you think of Georgia and Tennessee and that ridiculous? I mean, that was a crazy, good, fun game to watch. I mean, I don't think any less of Tennessee than I did. I think they're still a really good team. Oh, wow. I'm just bummed out for them for the end of that game.
We just talked about, you know, how important is finishing a game with a field goal. And you know, a 41-yard field goal should be a 90% kick. And it didn't even come close. I mean, I think we could all say as soon as it came off his foot, we knew we were going to make it.
Yeah.
I was disappointed for Tennessee because I have some friends there, but I was also proud of Georgia. Coach Bobo offensively, I mean, there was right at 999 yards of offense in that game. A lot of Art Brawls there, guys. A lot of Art Brawls in that game.
Coach, I was going to tell you, I was looking at that score, a couple of other scores from around. I mean, the A&M Notre Dame score. I know it wasn't 40.
Yep. Hey, the tempos,
I remember when those games used to happen.
All those things.
I remember when those games used to happen, and they say, "Oh, nobody plays defense in the Big 12."
That's right.
And now it's like these are.
But I told y'all the story. Nick Saban told me that day at Calgary in Freeport. He said, "I know this stuff is coming to us." He goes, we need to get together and talk about it. And Art says, not no, but hell no.
I made that comment too. After the games, I said, I don't know that 10 years ago, this was thought of as not very good football because there's no defense being played. No, there's defense being played. It's just a different tempo and style and what's going on.
You look at that game, and of course, I look at it as a coach. 1,000 yards offense. And it's who can make the last stop. You know, that's what it came down to. They had nothing about yards per play, total yards. It was who could get the last stop and who could make the play on offense. And you know, coaches are using every inch of the field like Art Browse did 10 or 12 years ago. And it's let me tell you something. It's hard to defend. It is.
I did a podcast with former Cowboys cornerback Orlando Scandrick for a little while in 2020. And one of the things he used to tell me that's really affected how I look at it, he goes, yards, like you can't worry about yards anymore. The rules for the defense make it impossible to have a game where you don't give up a ton of yards. Like you just can't do the same thing. Right. So he said, we were always told red zone, third down percentage.
Yep.
And worry about those things. And if those things are good, you have a good defense. You know, turnovers and sacks.
Not to interrupt you, but that's what once I went to Baylor and we figured out, hey, this is what we got to do. We became I never worried about total yards because we knew you're going to play a lot of snaps. And it's just what you're saying, red zones, turnovers, fourth downs, who goes for it? You know, fourth downs are you look right now more than any time. I mean, when Art used to go for fourth down, people said, he's crazy. He's reckless. Look at all the fourth downs that are happening.
Dave Aranda. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aranda's
going for like 6 times in that Auburn game on fourth down. Yeah, it's like everybody's doing that now.
It's become the end thing to do. And you know, there's been it's evolved. The game is different.
Analytics has a lot to do with that. Did you ever have to, as you were closing out your career, was that much involved where you were at Arizona State or North Texas?
Analytics by common sense is what I believed in. Yeah, you know, I don't need a guy that's sitting there dotting. I really don't. And I don't think any of the good ones do. I think a lot of that's bullshit. I do.
What do you really think? Phil Bennett with us on Mondays here on 365 Sports.
I'd like to have, it's good to have numbers that can, if I've already kind of think that this is something, I'd like to see the numbers to make sure I'm not crazy. But again, you've got to coach with gut, right? Like, this is not the time to do this, or this is the time to do this.
Well, if you remember, if you're sitting there watching the end of the game, the hurry-up drill with the Cowboys yesterday, did you see what they did right before they kicked the 64-yard field goal?
Yeah.
They didn't throw the ball. What'd they do?
They ran it.
They ran it.
They got a big chunk.
4 yards.
Yep.
And kicked it. And the clock was perfect.
Yep.
You know, and I just think, I do believe there is a role for analytics, but I think it's pregame. I don't want to get in the game, you know, and sit there and say, hey, we're going to go for 4th and 4 just because somebody says that we should. Especially now, if we're sitting there and we're playing lights out and my quarterback's playing good, everything's good, I'll say, yeah, let's do it. But it's still that gut feeling of how you're performing. And that's one of the things I want to compliment Brent Key again. He knew they were playing really good defense. They were playing really good defense, and he did some things with Haynes that he knew they had to score. That's a game, there wasn't a ton of total yards, but because both teams were running the ball, you know, they competed at the highest level.
Phil, again with us, Craig, question for Phil Bennett on 365 Sports.
I know oftentimes this is part of the fun of having you on is that it's all of your connections of people you've met over the years. How much did you ever cross paths with Rich Rodriguez?
You know, I got a funny story about Rich.
Oh, please.
Rich, I've known him. When I went to Pitt, he left. And I've known Rich. When he went to Michigan, he hired one of my former GAs, and of course, you know, that was a bad thing. Well, my last game at Arizona State, they had that hot quarterback that like the week before had rushed for, I think, almost 400 yards against Colorado. I can't remember his name, but he was on fire, and Arizona was on fire. And we go out. Todd Graham had worked for him at West Virginia for the game. Boy, he's coming up, and he's telling me, man, Phil, you've got him playing good. Y'all are, boy, so improved. Now, let me tell you, the year before, he had 540 yards rushing on Arizona State and beat them like 50-10. And I thought we could beat them because we fit. So we go out there, and it is really a good first half, and then we take it over. And after the game, I mean, he's out there, and he sees me. I start walking to him, and he turns and runs. Well, I couldn't stand it. I ran his ass down. And I said, hey, are you going to run from me? And he turned around and goes, no, I'm sorry. And he was nice, but he was so dejected. And, you know, after that was his last game there because little did I know, he probably had other issues. He had his wife and his girlfriend on the sideline, and that's the game that he got popped. So it was sort of like a Coldplay concert. It wasn't good for him.
Yeah. I can see y'all two being a very fun crew to be around, have a couple beers with for sure, trading stories.
Let me tell you, he's a hell of a football coach. I mean, I watched the end of the game against Pitt. Hey, they ran the dickens out of the ball and willed themselves to win after losing who we found out was a pretty good Ohio team by playing Buckeyes so well. But that was a big win for them.
Did you feel the extra spice with the backyard brawl when you were a part of that from the Pitt side? What was that like?
Let me tell you, my daughter and son were in college, and I brought him to a game, and it was in West Virginia. And I'll never forget this. As soon as we got off the bus, it was a Friday night game. This little kid sitting there with his dad holding his hand. I swear he wasn't more than 6. And said, Mr. Wanstead, Dave Wanstead got out and says, "How you doing, little buddy?" And he stuck his middle finger and said, to Pitt. I went, "Oh, this is real." So after the game, we lose on the last play of the game. We missed a field goal. We had a wide receiver drop a ball that was for a touchdown. It was a great college football game. And after the game, Sam and Maddie meet me, and we're going to ride back to Pittsburgh on the bus. And Maddie, I think she was a freshman at Baylor, that she looked at me, she says, "Dad," said, "we sat next to a man that his shirt said, 'I'd rather my daughter be a slut than a student at Pitt.'"
No,
that's serious.
Right. I saw watching the game the other night. So many times they would pan to the crowd, and West Virginia fans had an F Pitt shirt or something like that, and then you could tell immediately. You could tell immediately. They're like, move, and he's up.
Yeah.
Hey, they hate each other.
Yeah. Phil, let me wrap it up with this. Virginia Tech and UCLA are now looking for head coaches. It didn't take long with Pry at Virginia Tech. He didn't have success, and we know that Deshaun Foster, 15 games in. Which is a better job?
I would have to say Virginia Tech. I'm afraid the West Coast teams involved in the Big Ten, too many issues. Virginia Tech has proven that they can play, on a big stage. I don't know what happened with Brent. I know he's a good coach. I just, things happen. I don't know. Monty is up there.
Yep.
I haven't talked to Monty, but I watch them and I see no players, no explosion on either side of the ball. So I think recruiting, NIL, all those things have got to become important. UCLA UCLA and USC have been name jobs, Dave, but I don't think they back it up with the NIL and the money and the ability to get kids there.
Yeah, if any of the two, USC is going to do that in that area anyway. Man, it's great to see you. What a weekend. We got Utah, Texas Tech coming up, Arizona State at Baylor. A couple of
I think I'm going to be at the game Saturday.
Oh, let me know. Well, let me know. We'll come down. Yep, let me know.
A good friend of mine that's head of the bank here has called me, and hopefully I can make it happen. I'm excited about that game. I think it could be one of those real good ones.
Yep. Well, appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you if you're here. Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys.
Gold, as always, with Phil Bennett and the Pittsburgh, West Virginia T-shirts and what that kid said to Wanstead, or what he showed Wanstead. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, he was at Pitt, so I thought it'd be a perfect time to ask him about that. He got to coach, I think, in 3 backyard brawls overall. So, yeah, definitely has experience. I mean, he's been everywhere, so he's got a little taste of all over the country and different fan bases and whatnot, and also is still very well connected to a lot of different guys, active and inactive. So, yeah, it's always fun. And, I think Monday's a great day with him to just kind of reflect back. It's always, I would love to have asked him about Utah and Texas Tech, but we can just ask him about the actual result next Monday because we got a whole week to gear up for that. But, yeah, always fun talking to him.
All right, so thank you very much to Phil Bennett. When we come back, we look at the AP Top 25 poll. What happened? Shrapnel. A couple of notes. We will discuss, Georgia Tech, Clemson, and Vanderbilt, South Carolina. Bunch of good ones, man. It was a hell of a weekend. Thank you for your time. If you haven't yet subscribed, but you're watching us, we've learned that a lot of times you watch us but don't subscribe. That's okay, but we'd like to be a part of that with you, and also hit the like button. More to come. This is 365 Sports.
At
Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlinson at 254-759-8533. Brad Wilson's location at 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, proud sponsors of 365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing, member SIPC.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Big savings are waiting at Allen Samuels in Waco. Drive off in a 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sport for just $29,990, or grab a new Jeep Compass Latitude for only $26,700. The road and trails are calling. And wrap up your summer in style with the Make This the Summer event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram.
Come by, let's be friends.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. Keeps me coming back. He cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
This is 365 Sports.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
By the way, on the screen, Batteries Plus, Ideal MRI, Petty Clinic Low T, among many of the great sponsors we have, and more of them still to come between now and the time we wrap up the show. So, nationally, we've touched on a couple of those big bangers. Here's the AP poll. Came out earlier today. Teams are...
Yesterday.
Yes, it did come out yesterday. Teams like Notre Dame, 0-2. They've lost at Miami and home against A&M. 2 top 10 teams. You see Utah and Tech, they just kind of tread water. Vandy's in it. Georgia Tech's in it. USF, gone. So Texas starting to slide a little bit. They just can't seem to get out of a funk on offense with Arch and others. But here is the top 25 and A&M inside of the top 10.
Yeah, they should be after beating Notre Dame. But Notre Dame still being in the rankings at 0-2 is something that is unique to them and maybe 6 other schools that could pull that off.
Well, that's the
you want to
biggest
know history there?
bugaboo
Go ahead.
in the top 25 this week is the Notre Dame conversation. There are those who believe that they've lost to 2 very good, highly ranked teams by a combined 4 points, and that's very true. There's also those that say that's great, but you have to win a game to be in the top 25 because it should be about what you've actually done, not this, well, they've lost, but look to it, it was 2 because they wouldn't do that for USF. They would not do that for Texas Tech.
They didn't look.
Alabama, Notre Dame, they get the
and that's the difference.
Yeah.
Clemson is 1-2, and they didn't even do it for them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
No,
is
you're
that
right.
that would, if you did that and you applied that to everybody, and we knew that would be the case, like, oh wow, you played 2 really good teams, you get the benefit of the doubt. Like, do I think Notre Dame's a top 15, maybe top 10? Yes, I do actually. I'm not. See on top 10-ish, like we can kind of get into a conversation there, but I do think they're one of the better teams in the country. I do think they're one of the 25 best teams in the country, but I hear a lot of pundits in the offseason talking about the expanded playoff and it's going to water down the regular season and all these things. Well, what waters it down more than not having to win to be in the top 25, right? Like, so results aren't mattering as much. So the answer is to have 0-2 teams in the top 25 because in the what-if game, if they played this schedule, they'd be 2-0. Like, okay, that's not how it works. You played who you played. I give them credit for playing tough teams. But here's the thing. They're going to have 10 more games, of which they'll probably win all 10 based on what we know of the schedule. And by the end of it, at some point when they're 4-2 or 5-2 and others have been cast to the wayside, put them back in the top 25. But they don't deserve to be there right now just because they lost to close to – they have not won a game yet. Like, what are we doing here?
Well, the reason they are is, one, their logo, who we are talking about Notre Dame. Yeah, they've played good people, but the reason is because they started inside the top 10 because everyone thought they were. Now, maybe they are, like you said, but that also goes into this particular where in the inside. I don't have a problem with them at 24. I don't think they should be, but
do you know when the preseason rankings stop mattering?
When they play a game.
When they play, exactly. So, like, you shouldn't just assume, because, look, we've already seen early in the season, I was one of the people, I looked at what Clemson had done building the roster, and I was like, hey, this is a national championship team. Now, they still could maybe do that, but they have to win out. They have to win out, and they have some tough games on their schedule. So, Clemson's not a national championship game unless they win their next 9 games. And
you know the last team that was in the top 25 after starting 0-2?
I mean, I'm sure I've read it in the last 24 hours,
I think it was Michigan in 1988, and that was the year before. And maybe it might have been Notre Dame, and they ended up going like 9-0-1. That was right before they won a national title, but it's been 35 years, 38, 37 years.
Yeah, so it's been a while. And look, I really have no beef with anybody's ranking here other than Notre Dame.
I do.
Oh.
I do. I just think Notre Dame's is the most egregious one because, again, I think you should have to win a game to be in the top 25.
Yeah.
I mean, 0-1, I can understand. 0-2, I know the argument, but is this a power ranking or is this a results-based ranking?
Now, that's what they need to decide. They need to make that
because
clear.
If you ask 100 people, 50 will tell you it's a power ranking or that it should be a power ranking. Another 50 will tell you that it should be merit-based. And, yeah, you get the power ranking there at the beginning of the season, but ultimately your wins and losses have to matter. And so I understand the case for Notre Dame being in here, but I also know that if they were anybody but Notre Dame and Notre Dame-like teams, their ass would have been out of here so fast.
Oh, look what USF.
Exactly. I mean, USF just plumbing out. They got blown out, but still they wouldn't have gotten the benefit of the doubt if the roles were reversed. So this isn't even anti-Notre Dame. This is kind of a chaotic year for the AP as it is because of the conversations last week. And there's just a lot of people trying to poke holes in the polls. And this is why I kind of had the big gripe when the preseason polls came out of like, I'm not anti-preseason polls. I just don't like the way they set the deck. So, yeah, for example, Notre Dame's still in there at 0-2 because of who they lost to, but also because they started so high. Whereas other teams get in there after 1 week and they're like 23 because they don't even know really where to rank them because they don't care about them all that much.
Right.
And then as soon as they get a chance, they're like, all right, see ya. Where's the brand that we recognize? We're going to, throw them in there. And that's what just makes me absolutely insane when it comes to the polls like this. But the Notre Dame conversation's definitely been the biggest one. There is a side, and their side makes sense, that agrees with them still being in there. But it's just like, what does it take to drop out? They have to lose a third game to finally fall out of the top 25?
Happens, I don't know what their schedule is, but they'll win 2 or 3 more.
Purdue. They're going to be favorites the rest of the year in every game.
Yeah, I think they are. And then next thing you know, they'll be 15 with a couple of wins along the way.
Exactly. So they're not quite out of it just yet as far as the college football playoff goes, but they are playing with fire, certainly. And I will make mention, they got Arkansas in a couple weeks, Taylor Green in Fayetteville. That could maybe be interesting. Boise State's not what it was. USC in October, that could be a game. USC looks good.
Yeah, it will be. Yep.
USC looks good. Beyond that, I mean, a lot of teams like Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, that with all due respect, I'm not worried about them losing to. The 2 on here I could see like getting squirrely would maybe be Arkansas, just because Green has a crazy game or something, and it's in Fayetteville, like I said. And then USC, that's in South Bend here in about a month from now. But, other than that, they're going to be – and they'd probably be favored in both those games, except for maybe USC, depending on where we are. But they should not lose a game until that game.
No, And I think USC is probably going to hover in the 20s if they're better this year. I don't think they quite have the roster to make the run to the top of the Big Ten just yet. I think they're better. I think that's where they're going to be, is right around there. Now, I do, when we get to it, Craig, I did notice a couple of problems that I do have now that I've taken a deeper dive.
One more historical note. Notre Dame, Michigan in 1988 was 0-2, and they were in the top 25. They started the year number 9, so there's an Auburn in 1984 was the preseason number 1, 0-2, still top 25, and SMU in 1958 was 0-2 and still ranked in the top 25. It has not happened very often at all.
3 times, and you can sit there and count on one hand the amount of times it's happened. It's not unprecedented, no, but we're also more modern day now, and I think there's a case to be made. I am just more on the side of not power ranking it, and it's what you've done. It's what you've actually done, what you've won, and not what you've theoretically would be capable of doing in a playoff setting.
Yeah, if you're another team, you shouldn't have to win 3 quality games to move up. And if you're a quality team, you shouldn't be able to get the benefit of the doubt because you might win 1.
Right. So that's where my issue is. It's like it should be, yes, I give them credit for playing tough teams, but you got to win a game to be ranked. Yeah. I just think that's silly. So that's where I stand. Opposing viewpoint, we can all get along. I totally understand it. I just don't agree with it personally. Yeah. Like, that's just where I am on it. I don't think Notre Dame should be ranked.
If it's going to, I get it. I get it. It's not something that, it's like the power rankings at FPI and all those things.
Yes.
That I don't understand the point of them, like, other than to make people like us go, look what ESPN did.
That and also gambling purposes as a big part of that as well. Yeah. And a lot of people just like doing straight up power rankings because they just want to know who the best team is. But like, I don't know. I want to know what you did to deserve things, not just, oh, look at that logo. I bet they'd beat that logo because they have this logo. I don't like doing that. That's not as interesting to me. I think it should be based on what you've done. You get credit for that, not what you are thought to be in the minds of people who know football. My other thing just immediately stood out. I'd have Miami at number 2. I think they've proven that they are legit. I don't think Penn State or LSU, for that matter, has really done too much to really be ahead of them. I think that's certainly in Penn State's case, the product of just being there at the top to begin with. Yeah. It's not a knock on Penn State.
They
it's
just
more
haven't
of a
been tested yet.
Huh?
They haven't been tested.
No, but it's more of like what we've seen from Miami at this point. And yes, maybe the win doesn't look as good now at this point, Clemson, but still I've been very impressed with Miami. So I'd actually have them a couple spots higher. I don't think Texas deserves to be at number 8 right now based on what we've seen. I get why they are, but I don't think they've like proven that they're the number 8 team in the country. Nor has Illinois proven that they're the number 9 team in the country, in my opinion. And we can just stop there, but that's
they're
just
about
kind
to
of
play Indiana, so we'll know a little bit more about both those teams.
Yeah, we'll put them in there after they beat Indiana and then put them at number 9,
Yeah.
But I know some of this is just shuffling it up because of what happened in front of you.
Those teams, Craig and Paul, and without interrupting you, I didn't mean to, but which teams in the top 10 have a quality win, not a loss, but a quality win on their record? Ohio State beat Texas. LSU's now beaten Florida. I know they're a mess, but also Clemson. I know they're out of the top 25. We know what Miami's done.
Notre Dame win.
Yeah, Georgia just beat Tennessee. Florida State beat Alabama. They're slowly just they'll be in the top 10 in a month, maybe a week. And then A&M just won at South Bend against Notre Dame.
Yeah, Oregon beat Oklahoma State, so that's not a great win. It's a named team. It wasn't like they were ducking that. They could have predicted that when they set the schedule up.
Yeah.
So I'd say Oregon doesn't have like that nice win that the other ones that you mentioned do.
Oklahoma does.
Yeah. So I think, it doesn't, I know it's going to sound like I'm talking on both sides, but I just think Oregon has looked really, really good. Yeah. So but I'm not advocating for them to be at like number 3. I just think Miami deserves a little bit more credit for who they've beaten at this point. If you think Notre Dame's so good that they're 0-2 and they're still top 25, then Miami damn sure deserves some credit for beating that Notre Dame.
Yeah,
they
especially
are 4.
if A&M's going to move up 6 spots for beating them by 1 point on the road. I also think like Ole Miss Arkansas game was super fun and they won with their backup quarterback and all that. And that's great. I just don't think Ole Miss has done anything that would warrant them being that high to me. Although when you start getting into
I think here we're kind of splitting hairs in the middle. Yeah.
Because I kind of would switch them in Georgia Tech in my opinion, but
Georgia Tech should be higher.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech should be higher, I think, is one you could say. I mean, they beat Colorado on the road to start the season. You turn around, you beat Clemson, walk-off field goal. Like, they deserve, I think, better than 18th at this point based on their scheduling and what they've accomplished. So, yeah, that's one I would bump up a little bit as well. I'd take Notre Dame out for the time being, but I think once you get past like that top grouping and the obvious Notre Dame story, it kind of does. 3 weeks in, it's kind of all mishmash and there's not a lot of clear separation.
And here we are again with the 3 Big 12 teams that just kind of hang in that second 10.
Yeah.
With Iowa State, Utah, Texas Tech, whoever wins that game, are they going to go up 3 or 4 spots? Well, they're only going to beat a team that's one behind them or one ahead of them. So I don't know.
If that winner is not in the top 15, buddy.
No. And a lot of it depends again on what happens in front of them. But you'd think that you'd get a bump by winning a game against 2 teams in the top 20.
You should, but a lot of it, you should get a bump for that. And I think that they will, but a lot is also those who do the power rankings and those who do the resume rankings. And so if you do the power ranking, you still think that there's 15 teams from the SEC and the Big Ten and Notre Dame that are better than the winner of that game, and that's how you'll justify it. But the people who go off what you've done would say, damn, that's a really good win against one of the other top teams in your league. You're set up really well. You deserve a push up.
Of those teams with the Big 12 teams, the one that has the most national clout, as much attention as Tech is getting, and they will earn it if they keep winning, the one that some voters might give a little bit of a bump to is Utah.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of what the success they had when they were in the Pac-12. Now, a couple of notes. Brandon, do we have the note from Andrea Adelson on Brent Key, the head coach at Georgia Tech? Andrea Adelson with this particular note. Look at this. 7-1 now against ranked ACC opponents. 7-1. And Phil Bennett mentioned what he said to the sideline reporter after the game. That is really impressive. Within the division, they are a player with a division that include or a conference that has Clemson and Miami, and now what it seems to be back together again in Florida State.
Do you want to play opposite day? Here's from David Hale. David Hale on Clemson. If they don't get a 50-yard TD run with 1:16 to play versus Pitt and a 57-yard field goal as time expires against SMU, they'd be 1-7 in their last 8 games against P4 opponents. And the one would have been against Florida State last year. Haven't beaten a P4 by more than 10 points since October 19th last year.
You are a Dabo hater, but that's fact.
It's going back and forth. You know, Klubnik and the way they played at the end of last year kind of saved them from a much more dire situation. Like if they had not really progressed and improved last year and ended on a sour note, and then you roll into 1-2 start like that.
Yep.
It's already heated, but it would be like super hot at this point. But yeah, I mean, you've lost to 2 pretty good teams, but you weren't all that impressive in beating Troy in between that. And
you were down 16-0 at halftime.
I mean, you had to come back in a rally at the end to win that game. So you've not been impressive or won any of your 3 games so far, except for that comeback. And again, it was an ugly game to win. The good news for them is the only team right now left on their schedule that's – whoa, did you see that? Pen just went flying. The only team left on their schedule that's ranked right now is Florida State, and that's in November. So they should be able to stack up some wins, you would think. If they don't.
If they get to 10-2, they'll be right there about 12 or so. You're right.
But
if they don't.
But they've got to win out.
Vanderbilt, all-time record against ranked teams. Cole Kublik, who interviewed Clark Lee after the game, it was a really, really good interview. Look at this. Vanderbilt entering the game in the win against South Carolina was 122-1 all-time against ranked teams on the road. Now, a lot of teams don't win games on the road, much less against ranked teams, but this, we know the history of Vanderbilt. That's how huge against a team in South Carolina that was getting a lot of publicity and attention.
I mean, they were the bottom of the barrel for a really long time. Most of my time growing up, it felt like Vanderbilt was always the afterthought and kind of like the butt of the joke of, you know, the SEC, but man, what a run they're on right now. Diego Pavia, there's times where you would hate playing that guy, but if he's on your team, like he's the prototypical, like when he's on your team, he's the greatest thing ever. When he's not on your team, you hate him more than you hate anybody. And I think he's totally that guy. But man, he is so fun to watch. And you talk about like the it factor and moxie and just willing to win and that's Diego Pavia, and it spreads. And they've got some other really good players as well.
And their coach is like that. They get that feeling from him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with the coaching, and then also Pavia, just that leadership at the most important spot. And they've also got some talented Texas players like Eli Stowers and Cedric Alexander that I love following along with the Doors there. But that was an awesome win. Didn't leave any doubt. Now, obviously, Lenora Sellers missed the majority of that game. Does the outcome change? I mean, I think the game's different, obviously. I don't know if the outcome's different ultimately. Give credit to Vandy, man. They're a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see them in SEC play of who they can try and upend.
Well, we're going to, by the way, we'll get into Texas, not today, but tomorrow after their another offensive and the booing and all that with Arch and Steve Sarkisian talking about that. We'll get to that tomorrow.
Yeah, last thing, I know we got to go to the top 5. I will say this. Clark Lee has got them to where when Lenora Sellers went out, they took advantage of that opportunity that the backup was in. They absolutely took advantage of it. Most Vanderbilt teams would be like, oh, this guy's just going to beat us by less.
Yeah.
Like that was it. So what they did in like pouncing on them when Lenora Sellers went out was very impressive.
Yeah. Here's the thing. They got 2 non-con games coming up. So they'll be 5-0 and we'll be traveling to Tuscaloosa on October the 4th. To take on,
they don't look down. They don't look up to Alabama.
Take on Alabama and what could be like a borderline top 10 type of matchup. Certainly should be like a top 15 type of matchup by the time that rolls around. If they just continue handling their business, which they should.
When we come back, Paul's top 5. We'll have poll results and a couple of quizzes. Hopefully, we've been able to, as much as possible, fill you in on what you saw or what you were talking about too. But we're not done. This is 365 Sports.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome into Paul Catalina's Top 5. Oh, what a crazy football weekend. And we have 2 coach firings, which means that I'm going to give you candidates for each of those 2 openings to start the week on the Top 5. Let's go to Virginia Tech. Why Virginia Tech? Because surprisingly enough, taking the head coaching job in Blacksburg, Virginia is way better than taking one in Los Angeles. And we'll talk about that tomorrow a little bit. But we're going to talk Virginia Tech, a proud football program with a fantastic history that has an electric fan base and really want to win again. It's been a while since the Beamer era. Number 5. Bob Chesney at James Madison took over where Kurt Signetti left off and has continued to win. He's an excellent coach, 48 years old, young. I say that's young because he's only 3 years older than me, but young, energetic, knows how to win and knows how to recruit that area of the DMV really well. So I'm taking James Madison, Coach Bob Chesney, and putting him on this list because he's a dude who knows how to win and he's ready to take that step up. Number 4, Brian Hartline. Now, early on, play calling hasn't really been prolific for Ohio State and Brian Hartline. I don't think that he's going to call the plays when he takes a head coaching job. I think he'll hire somebody to do that. What you want Brian Hartline for is he is one of, if not the best recruiter in America. And if you want to build your program, and plus, don't we all want to take a chunk out of Ohio State? Why don't you take their best recruiter away from them and then set them on the goal of making Virginia Tech good again? It's all about the Jimmies and the Joes, right? Brian Hartline can get people to your spot if you bring him in. That's why I suggest him. Number 3, Tyson Helton. He's the only guy I'll have on both these lists, actually. But Tyson Helton has an offense that's explosive. Quarterbacks just come in there, and he really knows how to work the transfer portal quarterback market. Everybody who comes in there puts up numbers. Look, Virginia Tech, you won back in the day with Beamer ball, which was power running, special teams, amazing defense. Got to the national championship game, of course, lost in 1999 to Florida State, but you did that one moment you hit that dynamic quarterback. Well, this could maybe be the same thing, although clearly opposite day, the air raid systems that Western Kentucky runs. But I think Tyson Helton is ready to step up and be a head coach at that level, and I think it'd be a really sneaky hire for Virginia Tech. Number 2, Alex Golish. He needs no more proof that he's ready for the big time. Yes, they lost to Miami this week, but that Miami is probably a legit top 5 team all year long. They are very, very good. Mario Cristobal finally has his team together, although wouldn't be surprised to also see Shannon Dawson, their offensive coordinator, sneak in an interview for Virginia Tech as well. But if I want somebody who can recruit Florida, who knows how to coach in big-time conferences because he's done that as well, who's ready to take the leap, Alex Golish clearly is building something in Tampa. Now, is Virginia Tech the job he wants to leave for? I don't know. But you have a passionate fan base, and he's shown that he can build an exciting thing in a place like Tampa that hasn't really had that much. You know, they've had a couple of stretches where it's been all right, but this is the hottest that USF has ever been. And you can get quarterbacks. Byron Brown, need I say more? Number 1. Now, this one is a little pie in the sky given that he's at an SEC program, but he played at Virginia Tech. He went to Virginia Tech. His dad is Frank Beamer. This is going to be their Jeff Brom. I don't know if Virginia Tech fans will be happy with any other candidate out there until Shane Beamer either takes the job or tells them, guys, I'm never coming back. And while he has built up South Carolina into a contender, the road to the playoff is a lot easier at Virginia Tech than it is at South Carolina. So do you maybe want to make that jump and go to Virginia Tech, your alma mater who you love so much, and have a bit of an easier path to the playoff, or do you stay and make South Carolina work? Either way, I think it's a win-win, and he's shown what he can do. But this is their guy. Like Louisville and Jeff Brom, the Virginia Tech fans will want Shane Beamer. His quarterback, Lenora Sellers, handing the game ball to Frank Beamer, their coach, after that game a couple weeks ago, they might as well have gone and moved Brent Pry out of the office that second, because that's pretty much when it ended. This is the top 5. We've got trivia and polls and all these great things. And we'll tell you right now.
Sorry. Do we have the super chats, Brandon? Do you want to do those now? because there's 4 of them, and we never want to go the next day, although sometimes they come in late. Make sure we get to the super chats, and then we'll do the poll results. Your pet cat meow. How about them Yellow Jackets? That's the Georgia Tech. Fantastic. We talked about
the Ramblin' Wreck.
Yep, Georgia. I love the way they play football. Next super chat.
Not find a show like ours who has more respect and love for Haynes King than we do. So, he's a close friend of Haynes' father.
Yeah.
And I followed John King in Longview High School for a very long time. So, love what Haynes is doing and appreciate the super chat.
We saw one of his only lessons in high school.
Yep. Yeah.
So one of his only ones.
Yeah, the one at Allen. And then, by the way, I text John King as soon as that game ended, and he put like a heart emoji. He continues to communicate. All right. Next one from retired stockbroker, University of Houston fan, as is John Peterson. Thanks for Coach Fritz first off the top today. We were great to have him. We love having him. We'll try to get coaches as much as we can during the season.
When Dean Connors went down, I started getting a little nervous that Houston was going to let a golden opportunity go away, but he came back in the game. Wegman and him finished it out. Defense played well. It's a great start for them, and appreciate you.
From Diesel, I love this. Right out of as a Carolina fan, Vandy kicked our ass.
Yeah, they did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did. I mean, no two ways about it. Obviously, things would have gone a little bit differently if you had your star quarterback in the game. But I think that game's less about, well, what if it's more about give Vandy some damn credit, man. Give them put some respect on Vandy's name.
That game was they weren't going to pull away even if Sellers had remained in the game.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, from Diesel again, Nico is eating crow. All money is not good money. Also, Duke played Illinois. Their stadium was half empty as well. By the way, how about Mensa at Duke getting beaten by Tulane?
Yeah. John Summerall, parting gift. And he even said, look, you're going to pay a guy that much. I can't keep him. I mean, he said, go, buddy. I got to do it. Here's the thing. Nico is making less money at UCLA because they didn't have that kind of budget. He's playing for a worse team. Now, look, if he had just come out and said, man, I really want to be in LA. I love LA. Being I would have been all right, I get it. You want to go play in LA.
Absolutely.
But if you're going to say UCLA gives you a better shot at getting into the draft, I've been since when?
And I'll tell you what, Aguilar, he did a great job for them. All right.
Probably had a couple mistakes he'd like to have back, but I think he's played well.
Incredible start that turned it into that.
One second, I want to say on Nico. First, I was reading that as Nico Marchiol. I was like, what? They won. What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, Nico Yamaliava, our big offseason topic. And what the chatter started becoming very quickly on social media was,
transfer.
Well,
can he transfer?
He's got 30 days. He can do it right now.
Virginia Tech has a quarterback who hasn't played who's already entered the transfer portal.
Yeah, and we're at the 4-game mark this week for a lot of guys. So that's just something that was kind of crazy to have coming out of that. And as far as Tulane goes, Jake Retzloff's balling.
Yeah, he is.
Jake Retzloff's balling down in New Orleans.
All right, to the polls.
Yeah.
Results.
That's tricky.
Okay. Ove Johansson, Abilene Christian, set the record for longest field goal. I think I know this one because that's back when I might have even been right out of SFA or in that neighborhood. I think it's 67 yards.
Well, all I know is we're going to see a 70-yarder in the NFL here pretty soon.
Well, next time the Cowboys play.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost – we're going to start having some conversations. It's like the NBA with three-pointers of how do you make this more difficult again for guys?
Yeah, well, they changed the K-balls. Now they can use the same throughout the season, and they're not all slick and all that. And then, of course, you have Brandon Aubrey, who came out down from a mountain or something. I don't know.
I think I'm wrong on 67.
Okay, well, then
I think it's 69.
Okay, I'll go 60.
What do you guys say?
I'll go 69.
All right.
I don't really want to join y'all in that, but yes, 69 it will work. That's fine.
69.
Oh, there we go.
I was alive during that time. That was when I was a senior in high school.
Andrew and Garrett have not gotten us yet. So
no, they haven't.
I'm really excited about this streak we got going.
All right. Okay. One more. The Golden Egg Trophy was created in 1927. Winner of Mississippi's rivalry, Mississippi State Ole Miss. What prompted its creation? I'm going to say, don't you think
this
it's
I don't know.
It's either going to be a riot or a chicken ran on the field. What do you guys think?
1927. It wouldn't have been
That's a great-
chicken
that's
brand
a great-
Yeah, I was going to
sponsorship.
say the chicken one. I think
That's
I can rule that out. The sponsorship.
That was kind of like that era.
I don't know why a riot would lead to that, but it's college
That's-
football.
yeah.
I feel like it's going to be something stupid like a chicken ran
I'm
on the
gonna say
field, but
I'm gonna
probably
go with
not.
chicken ran on the
Let's
field.
do it. What do you
That's
think?
what I
Chicken
said.
ran on the field.
I'm watching body language.
Oh, they had a.
I saw Garrett grinning. I saw him grinning.
So
they finally got us.
Fans rushed. It's learning time. 1926, Ole Miss ended Mississippi State's 13-game winning streak. Fans rushed the field. Some tried to tear down goalposts, and fights broke out with wooden chairs to prevent future chaos. Students from both schools created the golden egg. Well, where's the chicken part of this story? That's what I was waiting on. Is like, there's got to be like something happened with the chicken that you make.
Well, I think what
or an
happened is a
egg.
chicken ran on the field. They were storming the field. Somebody killed the chicken, and everyone got pissed. And they
I
rioted.
guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I just I wish there was a cooler lore to that for like why you had the golden egg.
Look at this landslide. Should Notre Dame be ranked at 0-2? 82% say no.
Good job, Andrew, not giving them that off ramp of like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like,
All right.
force them into a question. And then, I think
pick a side.
Yeah, pick a side. And I think I'm with the 82% for sure. Think they're one of the better teams in the country. Think they'll be ranked when all is said and done. I don't think they deserve it at 0-2, but I totally understand, like we said earlier, the other side of the argument. But if I'm voting on this one, I'm saying no.
Okay, next poll. Final poll. Andrew put in, was Arch Manning's performance deserving of boos? 59% said fans were right. 41% overreacted. Steve Sarkisian announced it, kind of discussed it a little bit about how, hey, man, people pay a lot of money. A lot of investment in the program. I was always against collegiate athletes getting booed. That has changed dramatically because of NIL.
Well, look, is booing polite? No. Is it okay? Yeah. I mean, is it, something you can do? Yeah. You bought the ticket, man. Boo. If you're not hurting anybody physically, then boo. Look, Arch knew it was going to happen. He's been booed. He's going to be booed other places. He's going to be booed a lot. His uncles were booed. His grandpa was booed. His dad was booed. They're all been booed. Like, it's just part of it.
If they were booing about the way we were playing, imagine how we feel about how we were playing.
Yeah. And look, they get it. I mean, I think he's very mature. But I can't wait to have the discussion tomorrow because I do think that Texas is kind of trying to sweep it under the rug that something's not right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people would love for there to be like some injury story. And I don't know. I think it could be as simple as he's just not that good because we shot him up to the top of the Heisman Trophy list because of his last name as much as anything else.
We did. When you got Paul Feinbaum out there going like, he's Tim Tebow that can pass.
Yeah. I mean, like, so
he will deliver us from the chosen one.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty flexible with fans, within reason, doing what they want. And I'm also one of those that, like, the moment you decide to start becoming millionaires in college football, like, that's the trade-off. Is like, you're making all that money, then they have every right to boo you because they're funding that money.
Yeah. Yep.
More so than in the NFL.
I agree.
Like, they're directly giving you that money in a lot of cases. So, yeah, they have every right to boo the product if they don't like the product on the field.
All right. So, some of I see a lot of guys who were once promoting him now laying, man, no. A lot of people went overboard. I never thought he was the Heisman favorite. I said Klubnik was, and I'm wrong on that too, apparently. So what the hell? All right. Brandon, thank you very much. Andrew, fantastic. Along with Garrett Ross, who's working on 365 Sports tonight. We appreciate you every day. Paul, thank you. Craig, thank you. Hopefully you got a good full meal deal of the college football weekend, and we'll start to look at the rest of the week, but still look back a little bit tomorrow.
We need to talk. We'll talk Texas more tomorrow. Brian Kelly's rant. I want to get y'all's thoughts on that. We got a lot of stuff we can get to.
He's got anger issues, I would know. All right. Good night, 365 Sports.